Welcome on into McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian Mitchell, John Saybear holding it down for the guys this morning. Hosting a little bit of the best of McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, which you can hear every single weekday from 7 to 10 a.m. here on Jocks 94.5. Before we kind of get into everything, we do have some news regarding the college football playoff. Hopefully this is a sign of better things to come in the future. I'm trying to be as optimistic as I possibly can. But we do have some adjustments on the seeding and final rankings discussion as far as the college football playoff. As we know, last year, it was the highest ranked conference champions that got the first round bye. Well, you can erase that. That was a 1-year trial run. They went back, had a talk, and was like, we cannot do this, because when you see the likes of an Arizona State, Boise State, again, no offense, they did handle their business. They won their conferences, but when you kind of looked across the 12 teams, it was a clear separation. I'm not even going to say a clear separation, because Arizona State did put up a wonderful fight against Texas. At least Cam Scatterboo did. Everybody else kind of just fell in line. But now going into this season, the new policy will guarantee the 5 highest ranked conference champions a place in the playoff. So you win your conference, you're in. Simple as that. But will no longer include a bye for the 4 highest ranked champions. The 12-team bracket will now be seeded directly based on the final ranking of the CFP selection committee, with the 4 highest ranked teams receiving the first round bye. If one or more of the 5 highest ranked conference champions are ranked outside the top 12, that team or teams would move up to the 12th, 11th seed, etc., based on number of conference champions outside of the top 12. So, essentially what they're saying, basically, if you win the Big Ten, you in the SEC, Big 12, ACC, you're guaranteed a spot. But then that kind of puts the emphasis back on the regular season. As long as you are handling your business, it's going to be hard to separate, a 12-1 SEC champion and say a 8-4 Mountain West champion all of a sudden, and say if Boise falls down or Utah State messes around and wins it one year. It's no longer going to be, oh, well, that team was ranked higher at the end of the season. It's the final college football playoff ranking selection show. That's exactly how it's going to look. So you go back to last year where, you would see, for example, an LSU come in at 12, and then they would be, the sixth seeded team when it got to the brackets. You're like, wait a minute, how's this work? How's this happen? And then when we hear the people from the college football playoff committee sit up and say, well, they played this strength of schedule, and we appreciate what they did against their common opponents. Well, all that's probably about to eliminate themselves. You win your conference, you're in. Now, depending on how you did it, that's going to determine where your seeding is. But I do think that this is kind of at least trending towards the right direction, but we know everything's going to be changing rather quickly anyway.
What I didn't like was how everyone is, or not everyone, but most people that broke this news or came out and said it, was that, hey, straight seeding is now in the playoff. You finally got straight seeding. Straight seeding's in. And even yesterday I saw On3 and even ESPN had the graphic like, hey, straight seeding is in. This is how the playoff would look. Well, it's not straight seeding. Because as you mentioned, the only thing that changed was the seeding will reflect mostly the actual CFP rankings, as opposed to getting the top 4 conference champions. They're guaranteed the top 4 spots. Straight seeding is in, but after the 5 conference champs are in. And so if we had straight seeding, Alabama would have been last year because they were number 11. But also the ACC champ would not have been in because Clemson was 16, I want to say, something like that, whatever. So it's not straight seeding. Or I guess it is, but after the fact. And everyone's celebrating. It's like, oh, finally, yes, we got straight seeding. Straight seeding is like, well, no, you didn't, because the 5 conference champ thing, like, that's still there. And it feels like that was being underreported. Brandon Marcello was the only one I saw yesterday that said, while we're getting straight seeding, the 5 conference champ thing is still there. And so I think people are probably going to be forgetting that, because, and this is not me advocating for Alabama to having made it in. If Alabama would have been made in, cool, that's fine. Like, whether or not they deserve to be in, they were 11th. It just feels weird that in a 12-team playoff with straight seeding, the 11th ranked team is not going to be in. But that's well, I say that's going to be the new norm. I know it's changing after the coming season, but in theory, that's how it's going to be moving forward.
Right. And again, nothing else. So again, it's just the seeding to ranking discussion that's going to be different. The other operational policies will remain the same in 2025. The rankings will still be done by a committee. Teams 5 through 12 will play the college football first round with the higher seeds hosting the lower seeds either on campus or at sites designated by the higher seeded institution. So 12-5, you're still going to travel. Everything else, first round is still the same. It's strictly on, hey, after the conference championships and we have the 12 teams, it will directly reflect how's everything going on. So again, if you win your conference, you've got a spot, but also it's no longer, we might, Arizona State and Boise won't be having that first round bye. No, they're just guaranteed a spot. So to me, it still incentivizes winning your conference championship. You get a spot. But I do think it does add more emphasis to the regular season. Now, you look at Tennessee last year where they didn't play in Atlanta, didn't have to. Their record still stood as, they were 10-2 going into the college football playoff, and they ran across Ohio State. But I think at that time it was 8-9, Ohio State versus Tennessee. So again, to me, you handle your business in the regular season. The committee is going to do what the committee's going to do, but the best bet that you're going to have is winning your conference championship. So again, college football playoff rankings and seedings has been modified for 2026. You win your conference, you get a guaranteed spot, but there's no guarantee that you're going to be that number 1 overall seed, but you're going to have a spot at the table. So again, we're at least trending towards some change. And again, it's going to change as we continue down this process anyway. So 205-834-9450, your text message, your calls, always welcome here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Like Lewis, he texts in, he says, with this move, this takes away any desire left to be in Atlanta for a championship game. Was the incentive to play another game? I guess those are going away too soon.
It appears so. I think it was Ross Dellinger that was not only reporting most of this, but I remember him kind of posting out saying that at least the SEC and Big Ten are formulating for moving forward something what to do with those conference championship games, because as it stands right now, that they're contracted to have a conference championship game or some kind of something. Like they promise those to the TV networks, whether or not moving forward, if they go with the automatic qualifier, the 4 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten, and so on and so forth. If they go with that route, they still need to have some kind of something to give to Fox and ABC and ESPN, which is why the discussion of, maybe it'll be the top 2 teams who would face in the conference championship game. They're automatically into the college football playoff. And then the 2 remaining automatic qualifying spots would be 3v6 and 4v5, depending on how the standings shook out in the SEC. And then those teams will make it in, which that would probably satisfy the network, because not only do they, instead of getting 1, now they get 2. Oh, I get 2 games? Oh, okay, cool, fine, awesome. But on the flip side of that, now Atlanta's like looking around like they're Will Smith at the last episode of Fresh Prince, like, well, what about me, man? Like, everyone's getting what they want, and now I'm not getting a big game on the first weekend in December. Like, what about that? And so ultimately, like, to answer your question, yes and no. Conference championship games are probably going away, but something is going to take place. Some kind of game or some kind of something
has to. Like,
we'll be there.
Yeah.
But also, to your point, no, there won't be someone that is crowned SEC champion, I guess, unless if they give it to the regular season, whoever finished number 1. Because no one will be able to hang a banner, because there won't be a game to determine who finished first place.
Man. So are we going to, I'm trying to think. We're not going to hit that like co-champion thing, are we? Because we might. Yeah,
it's
because
feasible that both teams could be 8 or 9-0 and not have faced each other. It is possible. Granted, I guess at that point they could look at common opponents and look at whatever. It probably could be, but assuming we're just at 16 and nothing else, and staying, even if they go to 9, it's feasible that not only would they not play each other, but they could also have like common opponents, and all that could all be tied too.
Yeah.
So we could have a coin flip. I know we talked about it.
Are we turning to the old Big 12?
Maybe.
Oh, man.
At least the Big 12 somewhat made sense with once all of the whatever tiebreaker was, instead of going with the coin flip, which I think is dumb, they went with who was higher in the BCS rankings, which back when McLaren was here, he was like, oh, that's dumb. He hated it because it left Texas out. But to me, that's the best way to figure out who was the better team. Like, who does the nation think the better team is? Like, all right, well, if everything is tied, who does everyone think? All right, well, they think that of the three, Texas is lowest. We take them out, and then we go back to the tiebreakers. So I know I just said a lot right there, but it feels like even though there is an emphasis on the regular season, which we don't want to lose, the emphasis on the regular season will still be there, but the emphasis on the conference championship is probably going by the wayside.
Yeah.
Which feels weird,
yeah.
but also kind of what our sport has done over the last really 10, 11 years. Once the whole playoff kind of started, it was more about getting the college football playoff. That's what you cared more about. I mean, yes, you wanted to win the SEC. Yes, you wanted to do that, but you viewed that as a stepstone to get to the national championship, or at least to the college football playoff or something. It's not that you didn't want to win it. It was more of we want to win it, but we also want to win the national championship. But to get to the national championship, we have to win the SEC. So let's go do that.
Yeah. And now you kind of, going back to when it was the 4-team playoff, and I know Florida State that one year, I understand their frustrations when it's, okay, we not only handled our business in the regular season, we won the ACC, and the only thing that stopped them from getting into the college football playoff was Jordan Travis' unfortunate injury. And then it changed everything. Now they were like, yeah, we need to hurry up and get to the 12 team. And then when they got to the 12 team, it's, okay, yeah, Boise State won the Mountain West. Woo! This is also a benefit of winning the Mountain West. You get a first round bye in the college football playoff. And it's, wait a minute, like all these other teams have gone through an absolute gauntlet, and we're rewarding Boise State for, okay, yeah, their fifth best team in the Mountain West wouldn't, their backups, the backups of SEC schools are playing against them and blowing them out. And it's, okay, we're rewarding that for the college football playoff. Okay, cool. And they're skating by, and then I think they finished their rankings. They were like top. I know they were in top 10, but they were like 10 or 9. And yet they're the 3 seed in the college football playoff. And it was just, how do we make this make sense? And at least the college football playoff selection committee is trying. I'll give them that. So we can continue the conversation on the other side. 205-834-9450. Your text message, your calls, always welcome here. And tell you about our friends at Train. A long summer of heat and humidity are ahead. Keep your home comfortable with Train, America's most reliable HVAC brand. And to give you more peace of mind, Train is offering up to a 10-year warranties on parts and labor on select home comfort systems. To learn more about this offer and to find a specialist near you, visit train.com. And remember, it's always hard to stop a train. We'll keep the conversation going on the other side. Get to some of your reaction to your text messages, 205-834-9450. Your calls as well. Keep it locked right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Yes, it does. Welcome back into McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian Mitchell, John Saber here hosting the show. A little bit of a best of, but we did have some news hit the college football circuit as far as the college football playoff, and we want to leave it up to you as well. Get a chance for you to give some reaction. 205-834-9450. And Lewis he brings up a good point. He texts in again and says, so once football does away with a conference championship game, what does that do for baseball, basketball? He says it's kind of a slippery slope. But the thing, I will say this, I think the difference in crowning conference champions in those sports is it's tournament based. Like you have the regular season.
Yeah.
Because in football, you only have that one game. Whereas in basketball, baseball, you have a chance to play everybody. Like you play everybody in those sports, and it does an actual tournament where you have a definitive champion.
And I think with that, especially in those other sports, we've gotten used to having someone potentially be the conference champ, or be the national champ, but not being their conference champ.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have both of those to be able to crown that, because we have in basketball, you hang your regular season banner, you hang a conference tournament banner, and you would probably hang whatever banner you do in the NCAA tournament. I mean, for whatever reason, even though they proved it over 30 plus games, we give more credence to whoever won the conference tournament. Mm-hmm. I mean, they get the automatic bye than the actual regular season tournament, who proved it over, the course of, 30 some odd games. So
right.
I don't think those necessarily would go away, because those, like in football and zone, like those are definite money makers. But with all of those, you get basically everyone in it, and you're getting multiple games out of it. If anything, like mentioned before, like football is probably going to go more towards basketball and baseball, and having multiple games. Like, okay, it may not be the SEC championship game we're used to with 1 versus 2. It looks like it'll be 1 and 2 will have that weekend off, and 3 will play 6, 4 will play 5, and it's quite possible maybe that same weekend or sometime before or after that, 1 could play 8 and 2 could play 7 at home sites to allow, I don't know who would allow. I guess that would just give it more inventory. So, but which I also think, so you're telling me if 1 were to lose to 8, like they're all of a sudden they're not guaranteed a playoff spot anymore.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like I saw Dellinger, mention that, and it's like, okay, well, while that would be cool, that's going to happen at some point. Chances are. I mean, upsets happen in college football all the time, so I don't know what that would mean if they're 1 and 2 if they were to lose like that.
Yeah. I think football is just because of like the physical nature, like it's so different from the other sports because of just the wear and tear throughout the season. Not to say that these other sports don't have it. It's especially when it comes to, conference tournaments and things, like you're playing your regular season to kind of put yourself in good standing, I guess you would say, when it comes to tournament time. Whereas
Absolutely.
In football, all you got is that one game, and you're kind of basing on what other people do and what other teams do along the way to kind of make your argument better. Like if for example, so Ole Miss, their whole discussion of them, being, not being in the college football playoff. Well, we played X, Y, and Z. Like we played the LSUs. We lost to them on a 1 possession game there late in the season, who also needed to continue to win to boost up their resume. Then they lost to Florida, who, granted, again, like they surpassed expectations because everybody was pretty much going after Billy Napier's job. But then they lost, to Texas and things like that. But then the loss to Kentucky early on, that was the one that nobody had an answer for. This was not a good football team where you could at least have a discussion on, LSU, Florida. Florida made a bowl game. They won 9 games last season. Whereas Kentucky, that was their only SEC win. And then it came against Ole Miss. So when we get to these other sports, we saw Auburn lose to Texas A&M. They're on the last week of the regular season in basketball, but they still won the conference tournament, and it solidified them. And they also were a number 1 seed for pretty much the entire month of March, where unless they had just some catastrophic loss, it was hard to knock them off. And I think in football, we don't have the ability to do that. Like football just doesn't have the ability to have as much flexibility as these other sports because you have to handle your business in the regular season in order to be even in the conference championship game. And now, I don't, everybody complains about the NFL model, infiltrating college and things like that. But that's why they kind of added another regular season game of, hey, one, it's a money maker, definitely, because it's just more money to the league. But also a lot of playoff spots aren't solidified until the last week of the season. So as far as you resting your starters in week 15, 16, that goes away. It's, nah, man, we need you for the full 17 in order to solidify your spot in the playoffs. And I mean, you kind of have played catch-22 on both sides of it of, okay, now the committee is starting to honor that, all right, yeah, we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You win your conference championship game, you're in, but you still have to handle your business in the regular season. So a 7-5 that, Mountain West champion isn't going to get that first round bye all of a sudden. It's you're in, but you're going to be number 12. So you got a spot. So as long as you win your conference championship, I think for like the teams like the Big 12 and the ACC who, I mean, they're just happy to be at the table
now. Yeah.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
But moving forward, we know that, hey, I mean, the Big 10, if you're the number 3 team in the Big 10, you're like, oh, we don't have to play in the conference championship? Okay. Dang. That sucks. But we get in the college football playoff? Even better. Like, cool. So we save a week.
But on the flip side of that, if they're about to go to this 3v6, 4v5 thing, a conference, maybe a playoff invitational weekend, if that's what it looks like we're heading towards, then in essence, it's beneficial more so maybe for the ACC teams because if they're going to get 2 automatic qualifiers, they may just be like, hey, man, I'm number 1, you're number 2. Let's just hang out and we'll just go in. Let whomever play whatever. It don't matter to us because we're going in. So we're going to be a ranked champ.
Yeah.
Or we don't have to be a ranked champ because they're taking 2 of us in. Or let's just do that. All right, we'll play each other, but we'll just come out there and I don't know if we'll do a Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan like finger poke and just all right, one of us beats the other, but we're both in. So hey, let's go. I don't know if they'll do that, but it may be more beneficial for those conferences to keep their championship game because, well, if we're only getting 2 in, we want our best 2 in. I don't want them necessarily to play the week before. Oh, fine, you play the week before. We'll make it scripted. You guys win, you guys lose. Go out there. You can just honestly maybe the first play, someone takes it 80 yards to the house. After that, everyone kneels. So we're good.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like the way these coaches are wired, I know it has to be difficult. Especially when you get into the month of November of, all right, guys, we're kind of leaving it at the committee's hands. Let's try not. I say try not. Like you're going to go out there and try to win every single game. But think of Miami, how that Georgia Tech loss wrecked everything after them, and they're sitting out there on the outside looking in. Of, okay, yeah, SMU they got hot there for a period of time. Clemson did what they needed to do, but it's. Well, if you look at common opponents,
right?
We handled our. It's.
I mean, heck, if you're South Carolina or Ole Miss, you hand your business just once. All you have to do, Lane Kiffin, just don't lose to Kentucky.
Don't lose to Kentucky.
You're in the playoff. You're probably drubbed early on, but hey, at least you made it. You shown that. All right, there's growth. I'm not the white James Franklin. I'm not a guy that will win the games I'm supposed to and lose the ones. I'm not that. Like I can actually go out and do something. But no, you prove to be James Franklin still, and you can go. All right, you can beat Georgia, and then. FAFO to Kentucky. Like, well, what are we doing? So it does make it makes it more exciting, I think, for a fan, but also I think it makes it more frustrating as a fan because, all right, well, we're losing. We're probably about to lose an actual crown champion.
Mm-hmm.
But also I think maybe a lot of the younger generation, like even people younger than you, maybe kids in high school now, obviously kids in college, and those that are Molly's age, like, all right, like, well, we just really care about the national championship. So, yeah, that's cool to win the conference championship. But in the ultimate goal to be number 1 when it's all said and done?
At least that's what I thought we played for. But it also brings up the conversation that we had earlier this week of, as you get older, do the losses hurt? Well, now they're going to stink. Like, it's going to be pretty detrimental because you're going to have to make sure that everybody else ahead of you kind of loses. And like, if you lose one too many, you're kind of like, no, we're right there.
Honestly, I disagree with that. I think losses hurt more. Maybe, well, I guess it's maybe because I'm matured now that it doesn't hurt as much. But also back then, they definitely hurt. Like, you had to be undefeated or maybe one loss. You knew if you had 2 losses, especially in September, like we were done. Like, that's how, if you remember, for most of those back in the day when the SEC on CBS started, it didn't start week 1 with some kind of game, whatever. No, it really started week 3.
Yeah.
And typically was Florida and Tennessee. And you knew at that point, whoever lost that game, it was barely September. We were probably some months or some years we weren't halfway through September, and whoever lost that game was already done. So the losses definitely hurt more than now, especially if we're probably going to have 4 qualifiers. I mean, technically, I think Alabama was 6th in the SEC last year, but I mean, still they were there virtual whatever till the end.
Yeah.
And so that, all right, well, even with 3 losses last year, because I think technically Missouri would have been 4th technically, but even still, like Missouri, Ole Miss, Alabama, and LSU, and I think South Carolina, and A&M. All of them had 3 losses, so we have a tie, whatever, right there. But 3 losses definitely would have at least got you into the playoff under this automatic qualifier mindset setup that we're probably going to be headed to. So you can afford to lose. And those are just conference games. That's not counting non-conference games, which even if everyone loses whatever one of them, you could have 4 losses, maybe even 5.
Yeah.
And still make the playoffs. So yeah, losses are still going to hurt, but it's like it's more so like the NFL now. It's like, oh, okay, like NFL, you definitely ain't got to be undefeated. You could be 7-9, win a division, or 7-10, and still get a home playoff game.
Yeah.
So I think now definitely losses are going to hurt a heck of a lot less, or at least they won't be as detrimental. They'll still hurt. Losses you're playing a game. You want to win.
It depends who you lose to. Yeah. Depends who you lose to.
Well, even still, because even though the committee may do something, if we're headed to where automatic qualifiers where we don't really need the committee anymore, the top 14, like Alabama could lose to Vanderbilt and Kentucky and maybe even Mississippi State. If those are the 3 losses they have and run roughshod through everyone else to end up 5-3, even maybe 6-3 in conference, chances are you'll at least be in the top 4. They should be fine.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. This is the world that we're living in college athletics. Boy, it's changing. It's changing. 205-834-9450. Return here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We'll take a look back at some conversations that we had as far as the quarterbacks returning in 2025. Greg gave a list, and we'll kind of hear from the guys and just their discussions on how they thought about it. Keep it locked right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 7:36 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian Mitchell, John Saber holding it down with the best of McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. A little bit of a transition. We're going to go back to the Regents tradition as we got a chance to hear from some of the head coaches that got a chance to play. We're going to start off with Kalen DeBoer as he sat down with the guys and kind of talking a little bit of his game and also taking a look at the future of this fall for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
How's the offseason been so far?
It's good. Coaches are on the road, just grinding, and there's responsibilities everyone has in the office. And those guys are getting the job done. Looking forward to a great June with the recruiting. We got official visits here soon.
Isn't that wild?
It is. It's just the last 2 years. It's just ramped up.
Yeah.
We did it a few years ago, and then last year went to another level with the number of official visits, and really with the cap of guys that you can bring in, unlimited almost. It's just amazing how many guys we're going to have come through campus for officials here in June. So
I can't even keep up with your calendar. I talked to a couple assistant coaches last week, and they're like, "Yeah, we're just on the road." I was like, "Oh, you just finished spring ball. Like, what? You guys are recruiting now? Like, what?"
They can do home visits now too. So that's an added element. It used to be evaluation period, so there's actually contact guys can have, and that's those are late out. Those are late nights, and trying to get to the next city, next place, the next morning for early morning workouts. So I appreciate our staff, and I know they're working really hard to get.
We talk about this GM role. Who is the person in your facility, like you just said? So contact allowed here. Who is the person that makes sure you and your staff are aware of all these like minute recruiting details, NCAA rules of, all right, guys, now you can text kids. All right, guys, starting Monday, you can actually have a phone call with a guy. Like, who manages all that?
Yeah, there's really our Courtney Morgan, our GM, and then Bob Welton, our director of player personnel. And you're always working with compliance, Riley Edwards there, and so just making sure we're on the same page. And we're always ahead of it, usually months in advance, kind of talking about, because these plans of where these guys were going to go for 4 weeks straight, pretty much, on the road with the contact period, were put in place, in late March, early April.
Yeah.
A lot of that kind of figure, because there's flights involved.
Sure.
There's all these visits. You got to identify which ones. You got to be efficient. So a lot of that's in place, and you're working way ahead. But yeah, those are the key point guys.
Looking at where you were last year and having the conversation with you here, and now fast forwarding a year, I mean, it's hard to kind of fully comprehend what comes with being the head coach at Alabama until you lived it. And now you've done it, and I think there were a lot of really positive moments in year number one. So how much more comfortable are you today leading this program and knowing what to expect than you were maybe a year ago, kind of with battling some of the unknowns?
Yeah, I mean, the schedule that we're talking about. Kind of what's next and what you got to have ready to go for summer workouts. All that stuff's the same, right? And so a lot of it is now just familiarity with, the teams in the league. I mean, you know who they are, their logos and stuff, but I'm talking about the details. I mean, the guys that then give you tough matchups, a couple of things here and there. It's not like you're seeing schemes you've never seen before, but who really hangs their hat on what in those big moments. And, for us, a lot of it is also just continuity. And the staff continuity is huge, which, again, that led to really continuity within our roster. And now we have experiences that we've all been together through. You're trying to teach off of last year, maybe some things that those guys went through in 2023 that you saw on film,
Sure.
Or you're trying to bring the experiences you've been through personally. But it just means so much more, and you're trying to get that message through, but it means so much more when you've been in that fire together, and now you can talk about how you either overcame or how you fell short and where we got to improve.
Kalen DeBoer, Alabama head coach, with us at the Regents Tradition. We have been very fortunate being radio talk show hosts the last couple off seasons of just nonstop everything that we can talk about. And I think sometimes we miss things that we should be talking about. You had a lot of buzz with your team with the quarterback situation in the spring. I believe you have a top 5 player in college football on your roster. Nobody's talking about Ryan Williams. Seriously, when have we talked about him this offseason? Like it's just like he doesn't exist, and I think he's a top 5 player in the country. What kind of offseason has he had? What more can you do for him? And now that you got Coach Grubb and you guys are going to have a full offseason prepared to have a guy like him, and you had a Dunze and a couple other great ones at Washington. You've had great receivers everywhere, but what can we expect, and where is he compared to maybe was a year ago when you first met him?
Well, once he turned 18, everyone kind of forgot about him. Huh?
There you go.
Yeah.
We couldn't say that anymore, so it's not a fun conversation.
That story wasn't pressed at all.
I mean, here's the thing with Ryan. Unfortunately, at the end of spring ball, he suffered a little bit of a ding, and he'll be fine. He'll be ready to roll here this summer. But he, going back all the way to the month of January, and just kind of him understanding, even from last season, where he needed to get better. It's being stronger, right? He's just younger, and so the body maturing, and then him putting the work in and just being stronger, more durable, those type of things. He's got those instinctual things, but also the leadership piece is just something I'm really proud of with how he's tried to continue to grow. We have a lot of good leaders, so he's a part of that. It's not like he's singled ahead of and above the whole team or anything, but I think we've really paved the way, starting with his room, to where he and Germ can really feel comfortable leading. They're the guys that are returning with the most production, but he's done an awesome job. Just not afraid to say what he thinks. I tell the guys never walk away, have regrets on speaking your mind, because I do trust them. And he's got a spring now. Last year he didn't have a spring. He came in the summer. It's so impressive what he did in just a short amount of time.
Absolutely.
To get ready to play in August or September. But he's had a spring now. There's still timing. I know we got the quarterback situation and all that, figuring that out and who you should be working with. But he's all about the work, and he knows how to manage, I think, on another level, all the extra stuff that surrounds a guy that's a high-profile person like him. I think, we continue to work with him to manage. How can we help you manage all that? Because it's got to be a village of people, not just on him.
Yeah, and finally, before we get you out of here, the quarterback situation. I know that the fact that all three are still here gives the impression that they're all real pleased with the amount of reps they got, the opportunities they got in the spring, which I think is fantastic. But as you approach the season and that week one opponent against Florida State, how do you anticipate kind of divvying up the reps throughout fall camp to make sure, all right, hey, we're giving everyone a shot, but we got to start to hone in and get ready to play?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they all felt like there was growth that they had. They all felt that they were getting a fair shake at it in their own way. Keelan comes in. You just don't all of a sudden throw him in there at the once. He just,
what do you mean? I thought it was right now, day one.
But he did, as camp went on, or spring went on, did get to earn the opportunity to get some reps with those guys. And they all had their moments, and there was some consistency that you can look at throughout the spring. But there's also areas where they dropped off, and that's the challenge, right, is to find out who can be the most consistent. There comes a point in fall camp, a couple weeks in for sure. It's kind of been consistent with how we've done things in the past, where you got to make that decision because you got to roll. The one thing I think that a competition does, it puts a lot of pressure on them.
Sure.
And that pressure is as much as the pressure of, honestly, when you get out there on the football field.
Yeah.
Because it's on them. And so I've seen sometimes the pressure kind of come off of them,
right?
And then it helps prepare them for the pressure that comes along with the season or a particular game or a moment within the game. So these guys are all doing a great job. They all support each other in a healthy way. That's a competition, of course, and they know that, and they all want to be the guy come this fall.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We need to get down there and watch some film, hang out with you.
You're welcome anytime.
Greg and I come down there and do that. It'll be a lot of fun.
No tight copy, only wide. We're not watching no line.
I'm not watching all 22.
I'll let you guys
waste
over that.
Waste of time.
We get the clicker.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate
thank you
it.
guys. Yeah, appreciate it.
Kalen DeBoer, Alabama head football coach, stopping by.
Got a chance to hear from the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer, there at the Regents Tradition. We return here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We hadn't forgot about you, Auburn. What would McElroy and Cubelic be without a little all-barn radio? Get a chance to hear from head coach Hugh Freeze. On the other side, keep it locked right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. 7:48 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John holding it down for the guys as we play a little bit of the best of Mac and Cube. Got a chance to hear from Kalen DeBoer, Alabama head football coach there in the last segment. Let's take it over to the other side of the state, again, from the Regents tradition, just a little over a week ago there in Greystone. Got a chance to sit down with the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, Hugh Freeze. Let's hear what he had to say with the guys right here.
One thing you do have now, Coach, is a quarterback with a lot of talent. I'm very interested to hear just how things are going with Jackson Arnold, what you've seen from him. We've heard some comments from him about, maybe skipping the Manning Academy because he wants to spend more time with his guys and been putting in the work, been at the facility. What have you noticed? What have you seen? What are your takeaways so far?
Yeah, I'm really pleased with the spring. His approach is, I think he gained great confidence. Having the receiver room we have, I think, added value to that, to him. I think he, and again, I don't ever cast judgment on, you don't walk until you walk in other people's shoes, but he dealt with a lot. He didn't have any, the receivers were hurt, and his O-line was hurt, and 3 different coordinators, and I just think he was in a bad, he didn't have the juice, that swagger, the confidence that you saw being the Gatorade High School Player of the Year coming out of high school, and I think we saw some of that being restored this spring, and how much I love Archie Manning. I mean, Archie Manning and Mike Glenn hired me at Ole Miss, and so I'm dear to them, and so that was, I had to call Archie and say, look, I got to support. Jackson wants to be here. He's been there, and I think it's just another step that he's saying, man, I want to lead this team, and I think our quarterback room is, truthfully, obviously he's in the lead seat, but I'm excited about Deuce and Ashton. I think we've got a solid quarterback room when you look at the comparison to the league. But Jackson's thought he took great strides. Needs to protect the ball a little more. He started he did really well at first, and then I think he started thinking, well, heck, Cam and Horatio and Malcolm and Singleton, heck, just throw it. They're going to make it. Yeah. And I said, you just there's times to do that, but so just got to make sure he stays within himself. I don't think he has to do miraculous things. Just play within the system.
We talked to you last year. I looked at some of the notes, knowing that we'd have a chance to visit today, and you talked about this last year and keeping Peyton Thorne as a guy and not maybe making quarterback a priority. You wanted to make sure the pieces around the quarterback were the priority. You've now done that, though, and tenfold now with the addition of Singleton and some of the other guys in the portal this year. So looking at the supporting cast, that whoever the quarterback ends up, whether it's Jackson or one of the other two, how much better is the supporting cast this year when compared to a year ago?
Well, I think you start with those 2 tackles too.
Those O-line just
Xavier
as much.
and Mason that we brought in. It allows us to move Dylan Wade inside. And Jeremiah Wright's back. I think Connor Liu is an all-SEC performer. And so I think, and we get Tuttle back. So now you have 3 legit tackles that have played, significant snaps. So everybody talks about, obviously, the receiver room, which I think will be one of the better ones in the country. I think running back, we're good. I don't know about elite. And tight end, I think we're solid. But I think we're in a position where we can play more 10 personnel, too, this year, which I haven't done much of in a while since Ole Miss, truthfully. But I do think the supporting cast is we've got a little depth and excited about, what we saw there for sure.
I want to ask you if you think this could be a benefit to Jackson Arnold, Coach, and it's something that I never considered. And Greg and I were just having conversation about him and some other quarterbacks one day, and we talked about the situation that you brought up, and offensive linemen dinged up. I think they went through their top 6 receivers that were out. Running backs were dinged up. A coordinator that had not coached quarterbacks before, and we both love Seth, but that was just another thing kind of working against him. And Greg brought up his head coach, and not saying anything bad about him, anything like that. He said, what y'all don't understand sometimes is playing quarterback for a defensive-minded head coach is hard. And he said, the message is never attack, go get, have fun, let it rip. The message is don't screw it up, man. Hey, don't mess this up. Hey, whatever you do, don't. Yeah. And I started thinking about you and Lincoln Riley and Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin. I thought to myself, those guys would never say that.
Well, I let it get away a little bit from me last year. I won't again. maybe the last 2 years. And, these defensive coordinators, and I know Venable's a great one, and they want to win. But I'm going to tell you, I don't believe there's any more important factor of practice than your quarterback leaving confident, period. And I will make
That's so refreshing.
I will make sure that, quit doing all that stuff that we're installing, and we're not prepared for that, and it makes him feel unprotected. And so we're going to be the quarterback needs to leave practice very confident. That is, I believe that wholeheartedly. I'm sure I'm not the one that originated that. I got it from somewhere, but we're going to make sure fall camp is, there'll be a time for dirty ball and do what you want to do and all that.
Right.
But right now, that quarterback needs to feel confident.
Got a chance to hear from the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, Hugh Freeze, there at the Regents Tradition with the guys as we continue here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, hosting the best of Damian and John here with you. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's do our TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa game of the weekend. And John, tell us about our friends at TD's.
You can find your super sofa or furniture for the entire home at TD's Fine Furniture, now with a new closeout center open. Manufacturer's discounted items, are marked down 50% or more, plus everyday great deals throughout the store at TD's Fine Furniture in Summerton.
So you get one game. You only had a chance to watch one. I'm actually going to NBA playoff basketball tonight.
Thought you were a Stallions guy. Okay, who knew? Wow.
I plan on being there. So I plan on being there. So I ain't got to watch it on TV. But when I look at the game tonight between the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks, if it is anything like game one, I am here for it. Indiana, they mounted a monumental comeback there late in that game, and I'm interested to see how this series is going to go, because I thought New York was going to mop the floor with them, but I'm going with the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. Game 2 tonight on TNT at 7 p.m. as my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa game of the weekend.
See, it's funny because game 3 was mine Sunday, 7 o'clock on TNT or Max or True or whatever, Knicks and Pacers, because I feel no matter what happens in this game, even if the Pacers come out and get another one on the road, or if the Knicks even it back up, bringing it out to Indiana, that to me is going to tell me, like, all right, who really wants to win this series? So either one of those games, I think you would have fun enjoying it. And you can find your super sofa or furniture for the entire home at TD's Fine Furniture, now with a new closeout center open. Manufacturer's discounted items are marked down 50% or more, plus everyday great deals throughout the store at TD's Fine Furniture in Summerton.
We'll keep the conversation going on the other side. We'll take a look at some quarterbacks here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Keep it locked on Jocks 94.5. Hour number 2 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John filling in for the guys to host a little bit of the best of McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Got a chance to hear from the head coaches of Alabama and Auburn there from the Regents tradition as they talk to the guys. Kind of taking a look at the fall coming up. Both of them in pretty unique situations as opposed to last season. You know, year 1 under Kalen DeBoer, year 2 for Hugh Freeze, and it was year 2 of the Peyton Thorne experience. And now with Jackson Arnold coming in, has he rewired Jackson Arnold to see what Auburn can really, really be in 2025? And Kalen DeBoer, no more Jalen Milroe. Insert, now you're in year 2 of the system. It's your way, and see how it goes. So some expectations for both teams here in the state of Alabama and what to expect in 2025. This hour, we're going to go a little bit of the quarterback route. Greg had released his top 10 quarterbacks on his podcast, and got a chance to discuss that. So we'll take a look at the quarterback position here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning.
The list that you recently put out has people big mad, big angry, frustrated for a lot of different reasons, and some happy for a lot of different reasons. Your top 10 quarterbacks for this college football season, that list is out. Let's go through criteria first, just kind of how you put this together, sort of what you thought it was going to be, and maybe some things that happened with it when you were putting it together that folks would not notice on the surface.
Well, first thing, you have to play.
I don't really think that should be important. Why is that a part of anything?
Wow. Well, I'm sorry.
Can't you just look at stars and then rank them that way?
I would love to. Unfortunately, there's plenty of 5 stars that aren't good. Brock Vandagriff was like a can't miss prospect. Like, how did that go for Kentucky last year? So Jackson Arnold, how did that go for Oklahoma? Like, yes, I understand that we're all excited about Arch Manning, but he hasn't played yet. And don't tell me that a game against ULM and Mississippi State, who had the 126th ranked total defense, are good indicators of future success. Do I think he's going to be good? Absolutely. But I can't put him in the top 10 right now. So I would say having played is important. Past productivity is important. And then I think supporting cast has to factor in too. You can't play quarterback by yourself. Like, if you have a good supporting cast, you're naturally going to be in a better situation. Which is why one player went from being locked at the top 7 or 8 to falling out of the top 10 because of a recent adjustment to his supporting cast. So I think all those things can factor in. System matters. Conference matters. Where you play, who you play against. You take a Big 12 quarterback and put him in the SEC, I don't think he'd be a top 10 quarterback anymore in some cases. You take an SEC quarterback moving to the Big 12, they might immediately jump up the ladder because of what they might be able to accomplish in that league. So I think a lot of factors go into it, and try to be pretty level-headed about it. You guys understand that. And try to go a little bit with upside too. Some of these guys, I'm going a little bit with upside, thinking that the projection of what they could be this upcoming year is pretty exciting for what it could mean for their future prospects.
All right, so you roll through these top 10 quarterbacks, and let's just get to the one first that people had an issue with. There was no Arch Manning in your top 10. How close was it? Was it one that you considered? Was it one that you thought maybe should be there?
No. And under no circumstances should he be a top 10 quarterback. He can be a top 10 talent. I don't have a problem with that. I think people have a hard time separating talent from potential. Like, yes, talent and potential, awesome. Production, I said potential. Production is a totally different thing. And you can look at Arch Manning's numbers, and yeah, they were pretty impressive last year. 9 touchdowns against 2 interceptions, 68% completion, 108 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. But
I often joke about this, but I would offer up the against who?
Almost all of those numbers came against UT San Antonio, Louisiana Monroe, and Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Louisiana Monroe was the best defense he played last year, and that was the 83rd ranked defense in the country. With Texas's players, I might add. The UT San Antonio Roadrunners had the 124th ranked pass defense, and the Mississippi State Bulldogs were 126th in total defense. So you can, great, the numbers are great. I think he's going to be awesome. I hope he's great. I fully believe he will be, but you cannot under any circumstance justify putting him in the top 10 right now. You can say, oh, he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. What does that matter? If we did the number 1 overall pick last year, Quinn Ewers might have been the number 1 overall pick.
He would have been in some people's discussion. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
For sure. Carson Beck was the number 1 overall pick going into last year.
Carson Beck was the number 1 overall pick starting at about the Georgia-Florida game the previous year on for a lot of folks.
So it's like the number 1 overall pick. Like, I don't care about that. I care about if I need a college quarterback, having a guy that's actually done it is very helpful. This is a college list. This is not, oh, this guy is going to be the next Joe Burrow. Like, and I'm not talking college Joe Burrow. I'm talking NFL Joe Burrow. I'm not projecting Pat Mahomes here. I'm not talking about NFL prospects. I'm talking about if I had to win a game in college, who do I want right now? If I had to put the team on a guy's shoulders in college, who do I want right now? And frankly, with Arch, I saw him play against Texas last year, and it wasn't pretty. Or he's played against Georgia last year, and it wasn't pretty. Like, I hate to break it to you. It's not flawless tape. And I wouldn't expect it to be. He's still a young player.
Not easy to come in fill-in role like that, first and foremost.
Heck
and then,
no.
of course, doesn't have a ton of actual in-game experience. So it's why you've always credited and complimented the way that it's being handled, is because it's going to give him massive advantages down the road.
Yep.
You go Cade Klubnik number 1, and I think a lot of that is not only going to be based on his potential, his talent, but specifically what he did later in the year last year. And when you look at it specifically against who he was playing, it's hard to push back on it because we know the talent's been in there. I mean, he was the incumbent when he got there. These conversations we're having about Arch, some of those were about Klubnik. You know, if you recall, when Klubnik came in, it was, I'm not worried about losing QB. I'm not worried about a new QB. You seen this Klubnik kid? No, actually haven't. But folks didn't really care about that.
And it was a struggle.
Once
for
again,
a year.
it took him a few minutes to figure it out.
Yep.
Didn't exactly get it going right away, but he goes for 336, 3 touchdowns against Texas. Obviously ran the ball well. You go back to that SMU game, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions in that game. He looked great in the postseason and looked great towards the end of the year. So I imagine a combination of all those things that you just mentioned and what he has around him coming back with his experience, the reason that he ended up number 1.
Yes, and the year-over-year progression. Like I said, it's a little bit of a projection here. Year-over-year progress from where he was last year in 2023 to where he was in 2024 to where he could be in 2025. Like, I have not seen very many guys improve as much as Cade Klubnik did from one year to the next. I mean, he was sensational last year. He had 17 more touchdowns throwing it in 2024 than he did in 23. He finished 36-6. He increased his downfield throw percentage, doubled it on the amount of times he threw downfield and the average depth of target. He completes nearly 50% of his passes thrown 20-plus yards. He improved as a runner. He also displayed massive game-breaking ability with his legs against both Pitt and NC State, in which he had 2 50-plus yard runs. One against Pitt was in the waning minutes and won the game with the QB draw to the house. And I also think he deserves a little bit of credit for being resilient. This is a guy that I think took warranted criticism 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And really didn't allow it to faze him. Just put his head down, kept working, and got better. And the supporting cast is also exceptionally good. Like, I'm really bullish on the supporting cast. I think his receivers take a backseat to very few in college football. They got 2 freshmen, soon to be sophomores, that are going to be legit in Wesco and Moore. You got Antonio Williams back in the slot. Tyler Brown's still there. And you bring in a couple more young guys too. So I think his supporting cast is excellent. The offense is very quarterback friendly, plays in a manageable division, in a manageable league. And I think could very easily bring home the Heisman Trophy this year. Like, I think he's got that type of upside.
All right, that's number 1. We'll get through the rest. We'll continue talking quarterbacks.
Before we get to the rest, though, your thoughts on Klubnik?
I love it. I think it's why I've said that I've got them solely in the playoffs right now. I think they'll make a deep playoff run. They would be one of a few national championship contenders that I would offer you up right now if you wanted to make a pick. There's probably 3 to 5 that I feel good about making a selection on to not just get to the playoffs, but push through. He'd be a big reason that I would. I mean, I think I would have Clemson as my favorite to win the national title right now, if you're asking me.
No, I wouldn't push back on it.
And I mean, it's you got a solid defensive line, experience at quarterback, a playmaker at quarterback. Like you said, good cast around him. There are bits and pieces we could pick apart, obviously, of course, but that's going to be every team. But I was really impressed with him last year because I was one of the ones that was really let down with him the previous year.
Yeah.
Just really kind of like, okay, this is not what we bargained for. This is not who we thought we were going to get. This is not what everybody sold me. And did a lot of things that I felt really good about last year. And what I really love is specifically late last year. It's like kind of when you talk about the draft, like I talked to a couple guys about the Texas defensive tackles that were coming out, like Vernon Broughton was one. And one of the things that I love about those two this year and what they did is they got better week in, week out.
Right.
I love it when guys get better towards the end of the season. And it just because it shows me they're not on cruise control. They're taking coaching. They're still coachable. They're learning from mistakes. And that's kind of what I felt like we got from Klubnik last year. And so I think those are all massive advantages moving into next season.
So we started off the conversation of the quarterback power hour here on hour 2 of McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Of course, you know, Greg, if there's anybody I'm going to listen to as far as the quarterback position, he is one. And he doesn't have Arch Manning on his list. And I think it's fair. He's just like, hey, we haven't seen enough. Not discounting the talent that he is. He was always looking over his shoulder because he had to come in when Quinn was hurt or he started messing up. And you saw some of the cobwebs. You saw it against Georgia when he had to step in when Quinn was a little shaky. I mean, Arch looked like a guy that was looking across some grown men on the defensive side. Not to say that he won't, take those leaps and bounds. He's got the gene in him. Think of his last name. He's about like his uncle's. When his number is called, we shall see. It's hard with a lot of the guys that are returning in 2025 to sit here and definitively say he is one of the top 10 quarterbacks returning in college football. And again, patience is key. We'll keep it going on the other side because we ain't done yet. Keep it locked right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 8:17 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John here with you. Getting some text messages. Again, it's the best of. Got a chance to hear from Hugh Freeze, Caleb DeBoer from the Regents Tradition earlier. Got a chance to hear G-Mac start off his top 10 quarterback list heading into 2025. And somebody texted in from Texas says, G-Mac is so right. Arch versus Cade. Greg is incredibly bright. Hey, that's a good honor. Listen, like I said, when it comes to the quarterback position, I ain't going to argue with somebody that played in the SEC, played in the NFL when it comes to critiquing quarterbacks. Now, personal opinions about some quarterbacks, yes. But when it comes down to the nuances of the game, I'm learning straight from the horse's mouth. I'll take his word for it. Now it's up to me to make the decisions of, like we can have difference of opinions when it comes to his uncle, but when it comes down to Arch, we can at least agree on something.
We know that, okay, we can trust Greg's opinion on most things. He's out here saying the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is the TV show's overrated. Chingy's one of the best rappers out there. It's like, all right, come on, man. Like you had a calf heart attack. Like we can't really trust you on that. But when it comes to quarterback play, we know this is a guy we can listen to. Absolutely.
Same with Cole when it comes to the Hogs. Like he is. I don't even attempt to listen to anybody else when it comes to offensive line play. Like, I'm getting it from Cole. They know exactly what the conversation is. We'll continue the conversation of the top 10 quarterbacks returning right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning.
That top 10 quarterback list, again, that Greg McElroy has received. Number 2, John Mateer. He'll be at Oklahoma now, was at Washington State, and you and I have had multiple conversations about him on the show. And this is one where I don't think a lot of people have, I don't even think casually seen him play, much less taken a dive into what he's capable of doing.
I think that's the problem. No one's watched this guy.
Hasn't seen it.
No one's seen this guy. Like,
what do you think?
Watch him.
Being honest here, what do you think the biggest game of the year was for him last year? And I don't mean this as far as level of competition. I just mean as far as where people would have accidentally said, "Oh, yeah, I want to go watch that game."
Texas Tech, Apple Cup, probably. Apple Cup, probably the biggest.
Yeah,
and no one watched that.
So when were people supposed to find it? And Texas Tech, by the way, was week 2. Washington was week 3.
Yeah.
So after September 14th, I guess, Boise was a pretty big game.
Yeah.
He went for 327 and 2 touchdowns in that one. But then the rest of the way, Fresno, Hawaii, San Diego State, Utah State, New Mexico, Oregon State, Wyoming, Syracuse in the bowl, and he didn't play in the bowl. So, yeah, there weren't a ton of opportunities for people to say, oh, you know what? There's nothing on. I'm going to go watch this guy play.
Yeah.
And 29 touchdowns, 7 picks last year, over 3,100 passing yards. It's not just that. It's what he's capable of doing with his legs also. He ran for 826 and another 15 touchdowns. He's fun to watch, man. Like he's got a little bit of a different gear. He's got different juice. He can get it done. He will take some risks. He's not very big in stature, but he makes up for it in a lot of other ways, Greg.
He does. And I think what makes him, it's his legs that are a problem. And the way he can get defenders to commit, I think he does a great job of having awareness of where the line of scrimmage is. And when he's on the move and he's threatening the line of scrimmage, threatening to take off and run, it's amazing how often defenders leave their coverage responsibility and he all of a sudden finds a big play. He's got a pretty quick release on the move too, so that he can easily pitch it. As soon as a guy commits and steps up, boom, it's out the gate. So I think that's really helpful. I also think that when you look at John Mateer, his accuracy was solid. I don't think he's like one of those guys that's going to just completely carve you up with his accuracy, but I think he's got enough. I don't think he has huge arm, but he's got some wiggle.
The intermediate arm is really good, though. Like when he's trying to fit it in over the middle or, when he's on the move, out towards the sideline like that, he's got plenty for that kind of stuff.
Completely agree. I have no issue whatsoever with what he has from an arm talent standpoint. Like I think he is perfectly fine. Not at all concerned that he might not have the biggest arm in the world. I think he's got plenty. So I really like the guy. I think he's excellent. I'm a big fan of his, and I believe that in time it's going to prove to be true. This guy has just been a little bit buried from a standpoint of no one's seen him play. If you watch him for 2 seconds, and while yes, the level of talent will step up drastically with where he played against and who he played against last year to where he's going to be playing this year and the teams he'll face. Yes, that's a significant step up in competition. But I also think that when you look at the circumstances with which he had to play at Washington State, I think his situation's almost better at Oklahoma than it was there. And I think the level of challenge of playing against the SEC and the quality of his personnel around him is more than what he had at Washington State. And what I'm also, those that have had a hard time, not a lot of people have fought back on this one, at least in my estimation, because no one's seen him play.
Yeah, I think a lot of people see it and they'll push back initially because they don't know, and then they'll kind of realize it and say, well, I can't push back that hard because I'm not really sure what he looks like.
Correct. He might be good. He might not be. We'll see. It's a little bit of a risk on my part too, because I don't know for sure that he won't get just hit 2 times in that first game and all of a sudden he's not the same guy. I mean, could that happen? Of course it could happen. I don't think it's likely, but I think it could happen. So we'll see. I mean, I really, really, really hope that he's as good as I think he's going to be, because I'm excited to see him play. But I also think that there's a large portion of the population that look at the teams that he played against and assume that's not going to translate. I think it will. But like I said, a bit of a risk, a bit of a dice roll, but I feel really confident in his potential and ability.
Yeah, it's if you haven't seen him, he is twitchy. Like he's quick. He can change directions quickly. He can get from statuesque in the pocket to full speed out of the pocket in a hurry. He's got quick ability to pull up and throw on the run. I do think he loses some accuracy on the run because he's one of those guys that a lot of quarterbacks like Mahomes. When Mahomes is on the move, he doesn't really have a big time full speed. So it looks like he's kind of drifting a lot, and then he's able to throw, and it looks similar to his normal throwing motion. Like Mateer's going fast, and then he's not afraid to try to throw when he's going as fast as he can. So
yeah, he's very difficult to defend.
He is. He's got some. I mean, he kind of reminds me of Mayfield, the way he runs and throws, and like the way he contorts his body when he throws on the move, and he's a playmaker. He's going to be really dangerous in that offense. I think the only thing that I would be concerned with him going in is what you kind of mentioned with getting hit is can that coaching staff coach him to sort of protect himself, at least early on, to see like what he's capable of taking, like what he can really be. You just don't want him to go out there and try to throw across his body when the defensive end's got a clean shot on him and he knows he's going to take it. He's not going to be able to get away with many of those, I don't think.
I think that's fair. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to be concerned about.
Yeah.
But I'm rolling the dice here. I think his personnel around him is going to be really good. I love some of the additions they've made. I love the Jaden Ott addition recently.
Yep.
I love what you got with Burks, and I think they have plenty of other weapons around him. Like I think he's in a great position to be in a spot where he can really, really contend for Heisman Trophy status and All-American level status.
That's the quarterback power hour continued here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We'll take some phone calls. 205-834-9450. Marquise in Tuscaloosa wants to defend Greg McElroy. Talk to us, Marquise. Good morning, man.
Absolutely. Since we're talking about quarterbacks anyway, I want to talk about my quarterback. Greg McElroy is my quarterback because he knows his music. I'm one of Brandon Gibbs' big brothers. Remember back in the day when Greg McElroy used to play a little music over at his dad camp at the games, man. So y'all need to listen to him, man. He's a Rusker. He's an SAE. He's a frat boy. He's everything. He's the quarterback at Alabama, Greg McElroy. So listen to him.
Hey, man, we appreciate you, man. Hey, I ain't know DJ G Mac was on the 1s and 2s back in the day. I thought he was just so focused on watching ball, he ain't had time.
Didn't he say Jay-Z's overrated?
That he did say.
That's saying Greg. Okay, all right. Again,
maybe it comes with age. Maybe
we trust Greg when it comes to quarterback evaluation. We don't doubt that. Most stuff on the field, yes, we are all in for. But you out here saying Fresh Prince isn't funny?
Exactly.
Whew.
Can't get
Okay, man,
with
come on now.
All right. Off the field, hey, everybody has their flavors of the month. When it comes down to quarterback play, 1,000%. I'm rocking with G-Mac, man. He knows what he's talking about. And again, I can get over my personal disdain with Eli Manning and Matthew Stafford and all those guys. I mean, I take Greg's humble
You
opinion.
didn't mention Kellen Mond. Interesting.
I know.
That's the one.
No,
Okay.
nope.
That's the one.
We had
All
the
right.
San Antonio Brahmas coach on Peyton Party. He said the best ball, Kellen Mond, is still in front of him. And then that very next game, he was benched. And I've just been trying to tell folks that I've been seeing all year, all the time since he's been at Texas A&M. And, it is what it is. I played the long game on that.
Can't wait for.
I lost the battle, but I won the
ever
war.
You end up having children, I hope that
They play
the woman
quarterback.
wears the pants and one of them wants to name him Kellen. Like the middle name is Kellen. You're like, no way. It's like, it's a family name. We've got to. Like that's how it's going to be.
No, I'm just gonna name him Eli.
Wow.
I'm gonna name him Elijah. I'm gonna name him Elijah.
MJ. Okay. Middle name MJ.
205-834-9450. Somebody else texted and says Cade Westlake versus Arch Newman in New Orleans, not even the same universe, not even close, not even worth the discussion. Hey man, don't hate on the boy. Like, just give him some time. But no, Cade Klubnik, I will say this. I thought for the longest of times, especially last season, completely changed my whole discussion about Cade Klubnik, because I thought he had reached his peak early on. I just thought that he was kind of, everybody wants him to live up to the Deshaun Watsons and Trevor Lawrences of the world at Clemson quarterback, and I thought he was trending closer to DJU. But then last season, he really took that team by the bootstraps and was like, nah, like, I am a great quarterback in college football, and he proved that and got a chance to play in the college football playoff. They won the ACC, and I think Cade really put himself in a great position in 2025 for Clemson to have a big year. We'll continue on with the conversation of quarterbacks on the other side. Keep it locked right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 8:32 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John holding things down for the best of. Been discussing the quarterbacks in college football heading into 2025. And I think it's a resounding, I think it's everybody's thought that Cade Klubnik is the best quarterback returning in college football right now. You can have some other guys that, can have the arguments. I mean, if you listen to Conrad, he loves John Mateer. I think what he did in Washington State, if there's any kind of correlation, I mean, Cam Ward, when he was at Washington State, he parlayed that into being a quarterback in Miami and then number 1 overall draft pick to the wonderful Tennessee Titans. So the future looks bright. Maybe John Mateer can have the same path, depending on where he goes. As far as after what he does in the season in Oklahoma, big things are on the horizon. We'll continue on with Greg's list of the top 10 quarterbacks right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning.
Drew Aller is your number 4 quarterback returning in college football. Why is he ahead of Garrett Nussmeier, who you love dearly?
I do like Garrett Nussmeier. I think Drew Aller and Garrett Nussmeier are kind of a toss-up. You can kind of go 4A, 4B. I'm not sure there really is a huge separator there. I just think Drew Aller's willingness to take care of the football gives him a slight advantage. Did throw a pick at the end of the game, and a lot of people are going to remember that in the Notre Dame game. But this is a guy who, lifetime, has the lowest interception percentage in the history of Penn State football. That's encouraging. I also think he did so with a somewhat underwhelming supporting cast at wide receiver. He obviously had Tyler Warren. I think if you look at what surrounded Garrett Nussmeier, what surrounded Drew Aller, I think Nussmeier had a little bit more, whereas Drew Aller had the best of the available options. I think this year, when you look at what Penn State has done to make sure that their weaponry is adequate and improved at wide receiver, it's going to give Drew Aller a slight advantage. While I'm still very bullish on Garrett Nussmeier, I still think he needs to be smarter with the football. That's been the one criticism, and I've also said that he also needs to make sure he takes off and runs some. Nussmeier's at 5. Love Nussmeier. I think he's a great player. I think he's got a ton of confidence in his arm. I think he's got a lot of ability. He's just not a guy that's going to threaten me a lot with his legs. And it's not because he can't, it's just because he hasn't. He hasn't chosen to. So I would like to see that level of that become a bit of a focal point moving forward. Aller, meanwhile, has shown a willingness to carry the football from time to time. He's not a runner, but he does have some athleticism and wasn't afraid to use it last year when the opportunity presented itself. So I give Aller just a slight advantage over Nussmeier, but still, top 5 quarterback's a pretty dang good place to be.
Not bad. So Drew Aller 4, Garrett Nussmeier 5, Carson Beck comes in at 6. We know the potential. There's some good snaps out there. There's some bad snaps out there from last year, Greg. And I know the injury, we're not going to really say that has a lot to do with anything, but man, it's tough to kind of sit there and look at what he is, what he could be when there's a lot of rough snaps on the back end of what he did last year. Now, there were some great moments also, and there were some times that the protection wasn't really there, but kind of give us your explanation as to why Carson Beck is where he is on your list.
I think Carson Beck was the product of his environment last year, more so than it was a referendum on whether or not he can play. I just don't think he had any help. Protection was substandard. The receivers were awful. There's just too many things that you can point to last year and say, you know what, that really wasn't on Carson Beck. And you look at some moments, like the moment against Tennessee last year, for example, where he carved him up. I mean, absolutely carved him up. Now, a lot of people remember the Texas game, who remember the Ole Miss game, and there was about a 3 or 4 game window there in which he was trying to force it. I think he was trying to take too many risks, but I think he felt like he had to. And I think if you look at how he played as the game went along against Georgia Tech, how he played against Tennessee, and really how he played kind of down the stretch, he played pretty good football without real dependable weapons on the outside. So I'm super bullish on a bounce back there. It's a bit of a dice roll, but when you look at the guys behind him, I don't feel like it's as difficult to justify. I think Carson Beck, this is about as low as he can go at 6. Because we'll get to the next grouping and you'll realize, are you really going to take this guy over Carson Beck? We've seen Carson Beck 2 years ago be as good as anybody in the entire college football world at quarterback.
Right.
And we have not seen that from the guys coming up. Carson Beck has, at one point in his career, been the best player at the position. That is important to note. So we've seen it. It's been done. Now, while recency bias would lead you to have maybe a slightly altered view of what he's capable of, the guy has been at the top of the game. And that deserves credit. So I'm giving it to him. And if I were to put this list together last year, he would have been at number 1. This year, he's at number 6.
All right, Carson Beck comes in at 6. Lenore Sellers at 7. We know he has the ability to take over a game. And we know he's got a little ways to go. The development is not completely there just yet, but the ability to move with the football in his hands, obviously has arm strength, plenty of arm to be able to deliver it. Speaking of casts, that's one that I have a little concern about with Lenore Sellers.
Sure.
How good is he going to be able to be with what he's going to have around him?
I just don't think the receivers can be worse than they were last year.
That's fair.
So
the offensive line might be a little worse. You're not going to have Joshua Simon, which concerns me.
Are you worried about the offensive line, though, given his mobility? I didn't think the offensive line was great last year.
It wasn't. It wasn't great. If for some reason it's worse. I just think, and you and I have talked about this, you could make a very realistic argument that Joshua Simon was the MVP of that offense last year. He protected at times. He helped you in the short intermediate game, run after catch, added some physicality. He did so many things well. And I'm not saying he was the elite at anything, because he probably wasn't. But he just helped with so much. And so then I think you kind of wonder, all right, without him, and then maybe without some other receivers that can help a little bit more, how is it going to look? You just don't really know.
Totally fair. But I'm willing to roll the dice. He has that type of upside. He has that kind of athleticism. I think he's light on his feet. I think he can move. I think he could be a 1,000-yard rusher. Like, I really think that's in there. I don't know if that's going to be part of his development, but I think he could. If that's where it goes, I think he could be that guy. And I just cannot imagine the scenario around him at receiver being worse. So I'm banking on growth in the passing game. I'm banking on consistent, continued growth in the run game and more confidence. Lenore Sellers' biggest problem last year is that he was not confident in the first 6 games of the season. Right. You could almost see it series to series. Like, okay, he's really confident. Like, he got a completion on the first play. He's confident. This is going to be a good series.
Yeah.
Oh, he missed one on the first play. Oh, this is going to be a 3-and-out. Like, he really wavered. And I think as he gets older and matures, he's going to become more mentally tough and is not going to let one play define what happens on that upcoming drive. And that's where I think he struggled last year. The ebbs and flows. When he was on, he was unstoppable. When he was off, it was very average.
Yeah.
And I think we'll have a lot less average and a lot more really dependable, solid, steady, good play. Maybe even a few less spectacular plays, but the increase from the average to bad plays, that's going to go down. I think you're going to see much more consistent play at Lenore's. And to be honest with you, I think Mike Shule is going to help him a lot. Yeah. I thought Dow Loggins last year did a great job with him. And I think Mike has played the position. I think he's been around it. He's coached it in the league. He coached Cam Newton in the league. Like, I think he knows how to put a quarterback into a very comfortable situation and knows how to develop that position.
Well, and also, too, I think you'll agree with this, they have some promise at receiver. It just they got a little banged up early last year. Maybe Nick Harbor takes a little bit of a step. It's feasible that it could be okay or could be a little better than it was last year. My main concern is no Joshua Simon, man. Like, I think he was that big for that offense. I think it's going to make a big difference not having him. They got to have somebody else who can do some of those things just to be able to offset it, specifically if the receivers are not better than they were a year ago. And I'm with you. The receivers were not great. They didn't help a ton. They just didn't.
Not only were they not great, they were bad. Like, I'm just being real. Mazio Bennett was good. Other than that, there's not really a guy outside of Josh Simon I felt good about.
It's fair. It's fair. And so continuing to move down your list, after Lenore Sellers at 7, this is one that I think a lot of people are going to scratch their head on, because going back to what we said about Mateer, maybe Levitt, they just haven't seen him, but Sawyer Robertson at Baylor.
He can do it. Guy can play.
What are the strengths there for Robertson at Baylor?
Well, how about the fact that last year he didn't start the season as the guy? He was sitting there splitting reps, sitting there getting backup reps, and then finally is thrust into a position where he can be a guy and then rips off 7-8 straight games in which he's lights out. He's got a great play caller in Jake Spavital that's going to put him in position to be successful. This is a guy that has the measurables, the accuracy. He's not overly mobile, but I do think that this is a guy that has big-time potential. And now with an entire offseason of starting reps, he's just going to be so much further ahead than he was a year ago. Last year, he got by with just physical, God-given ability. Now he's going to be able to take it to the next level with processing, with anticipation, with pre-snap recognition, all those other things, which is going to allow him to be more confident with where he's going with the football, and more confidence is going to lead to more production. So I think people need to do some due diligence on Sawyer Robertson, because I'm not sure a lot of people are super familiar with who he is, but that guy can go.
Yeah.
He can really play.
What does the system do to help him, or maybe what is he more capable of doing outside of the system that he's provided there at Baylor?
That's a difficult question. I think the system is the system. And
does it help him thrive, or is he a guy that you could see doing more no matter what he was asked to do?
I think I don't know if he's a guy that would thrive outside of the system, but the good news is he's in the system.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a question that needs to be answered. And I also don't know if it's a question that I know the answer to. If all of a sudden they decided they want to run the offense that they're running at Georgia Tech, I don't think he'd be elite from a number standpoint.
Yeah.
But I do think with the system that Spav runs and how he gets out of the quarterback's hands quick, and how they create the double moves and they create the matchups, and they want to go quick and fast and put a lot of pressure on the defense to get lined up, and put a lot of pressure on the defense to find the matchups, and how they move guys around. It's a pretty fun offense to watch, and one that I think is very, very easy on the quarterback. So I love Sawyer Robertson. I just don't think enough people know about him, and I hope that people this year take some time to watch this young. Auburn fans will.
Yeah.
They're going to find out quick. Right out of the gate. If you're an Auburn fan, you will see this young man play, and I think you'll probably see what I've seen in my study this offseason. I think he's a really good player.
DJ Lagway at 9. We'll finish this up quickly, get to break. No one's going to debate that. Some people may think it's a little bit too low, but you've told us he made some bad decisions late in games, and there were some times that he got off schedule some, and he's young. That's going to happen, but it's in there. The big-time play is in there, Greg. It's just consistency's got to continue to improve.
When I went back, there was more bad than I wanted to realize. I think if I just were to have gone into this process thinking about the highlight reel moments, he would have been in the top 5. But then when you go in, you realize, man, there's a lot of room to grow and improve. And I think that can be done. But I actually think that number 9 is a pretty good spot for him. You still have the upside. You still have the potential. I think he could take a huge leap this year, and it would not surprise me at all if at season's end we're sitting there and he's in the top 3. But I also think that there was some young mistakes made last year at times, and there were some challenges at times with some of the decision making and the processing. But that's to be expected. He's a freshman, and a freshman that had to split reps in the preseason, and a lot of those starter reps went to Graham Mertz, and they worked him in accordingly. So I think he did a great job under the circumstances, but now I think it's time for him to kind of reach his ceiling and take that step.
Okay, and then finally at 10, I appreciate this one because it's for what it is, and it's not projecting. It's not trying to say this is going to turn into something else. Haynes King at 10. And when you look at what he does in his offense for his team with what he's been given the ability to do, I think he is one of the best 10 quarterbacks in college football. Is he probably one of the more likely names to be passed this year? I could see it, and I wouldn't have a problem with somebody saying that. But for right now, what he's done inside the offense with what he's asked to do and how he's asked to play, he should be there. I know some folks might not like it, but why is he there for you?
I think he's the toughest quarterback in the sport. And when I look at quarterbacks and I'm evaluating quarterbacks, there's really a few characteristics that I absolutely love. One is accuracy. Okay, accuracy is the number one attribute for quarterback. If you can't hit the spot, you can't play. Simple as that. Number 2 is toughness. because you're going to get absolutely unloaded upon a few times. You're going to get hit hard, and it requires a player that gets up immediately and responds accordingly and doesn't let that one hit affect how he goes about his business. Because if he were to show that hit hurt as bad as it probably did, the rest of the team would have an effect on the rest of the team. I don't think there's a tougher guy in the game. I think he's tough as nails. I think he has weathered the storm as a prospect, having been benched twice as a starting quarterback, and has now come out the other side as a guy that's calloused and prepared to be a tremendous leader. I think he's the best leader in college football.
Yeah.
I think you can make that case. He's just a guy that you absolutely want on your team. Regardless of what his role is or what his ceiling is, the guy is not going to be a franchise quarterback. That's not who he is. He's got an unorthodox release. He runs a little up and down, upright. I think he could be a backup in the league for sure, but I just don't see him as a guy that is ever going to be a franchise quarterback. But for college football, you need a guy that will die on the field. He's your guy. Like, that guy will leave it all on the field and will do whatever it takes to make sure that Georgia Tech's in the best position to be competitive. And I think for where he's at and the offense that they run and how they position him to be successful, I'm not sure you could ask for a better marriage between what he's doing with Buster as offensive coordinator and how he plays.
And boy, who would have thought that in the year 2025, we'd be talking about Haynes King as one of the 10 best quarterbacks in college football returning, because if you go back and watch him when he was at Texas A&M, you thought he was a lost cause. Goes to Georgia Tech, and they're just like, hey, big dog, you're working with what you got, but you put us in the best position. And they utilize his legs, and he was the first catalyst. He was the first one to show us in Ireland that the Florida State team that was going to be on the field was not one of the best ones that they had seen in years past. But yeah, Haynes King has entered this conversation. 205-834-9450. We'll keep the conversation going on the other side. Also hit a little bit of a reset, give you the news from the college football playoff. Also take a look at the Stallions coming up this weekend. So much more. Keep it locked right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 8:53 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John hold things down as we host the best of Mac and Cube. Got a chance to hear from Kalen DeBoer, Hugh Freeze in hour one. Also went down the quarterback power hour there in hour two. And we'll see what lies ahead for us in hour three. But kind of hitting the reset because we did have some news yesterday of the college football playoffs having a little bit of a change going into this season, as no longer will we go by the old mantra, which was only 1 year old. But the new policy gives the highest 5 ranked conference champions an automatic spot. But the final rankings in the college football playoff will be how the seeds will be played out. So no longer this team was ranked higher at the final ranking, so they get the automatic, first round bye. No. Scrap that idea, because this year you win your conference, you're guaranteed a spot. And if you are, the 6th best team or the 6th ranked team heading into the college football playoffs rankings and the final selection, that will be your seeding as well.
Yeah, if using last year's rankings, Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and Penn State all would have had first round byes, as opposed to Oregon and Georgia and Boise and Arizona.
Yeah. Right. Again, no offense to Boise and Arizona State, but just by the committee's metrics, it was okay. Do they necessarily deserve that ranking? Do they necessarily deserve that seeding? Maybe not so much.
And one thing to note, like Damian said, if you finish 6th, you'll be seeded 6th. That's mostly true, because what hasn't changed is the top 5 ranked conference champions, they still get access to the playoff. So last year, your group of 5 champ was ranked 9th. So obviously they would have been in anyway. 2023, your highest ranked group of 5 champ was 22nd, Liberty. 22, it was 16th, Tulane. In 2020, it was Coastal Carolina, 12th. So they would have been in. The year before, in 2019, Memphis ranked at 17th. 2016, we were rowing the boat. Western Michigan at 15th. Ranked 15th. Man. They would have been in. So even if you are ranked 10, 11, 12, you're not guaranteed a spot. The top 5 ranked conference champs are guaranteed a spot, and everything else will be seeded accordingly. So it is a step in the right direction, but still not what we want.
But we're trending. We're at least giving it a chance. So, shout out to the playoff committee. Still don't know what it may look like when the fall rolls around, but all I'm saying is November is an important month moving forward. And we'll keep it going here on hour 3 of McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Keep it locked here on Jocks 945. Hour number 3 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John been holding things down for the past 2 hours. Got a chance to hear from Kalen DeBoer, Hugh Freeze from the Regents Tradition, kind of just previewing their teams heading into the fall. And we had quarterback power hour there in hour number 2 as Greg went down the top 10 quarterbacks returning in college football. Of course, a lot of discussion today is with the college football playoffs, you know, the new seeding, new ranking. Again, it's still up to the selection committee, and who knows, when the month of November rolls around and every Tuesday we get that show, all we ask for is transparency. We just asked that, okay, last year you were telling me, oh yeah, this is the 12th ranked team, but because of how the criteria is, they're not going to be in the playoff, and it's, okay, make it make sense. I think this is kind of the direction they're going and trying to at least somewhat make it make sense, but who knows? All it comes down to, you got to win your games on Saturday. Remove all doubt. If you win, you know you're in. That's what it comes down to.
Unless you're Florida State.
So we shall see. 205-834-9450. Man, somebody we hadn't heard from in a long time, but we'd love to hear his voice here on the Jocks program. It's Bama Hater. What's going on, big dog?
Hey, man, what y'all doing all right, man?
Can't complain about a thing,
Always.
brother.
Hey, sounds just like me. Hey, I like that word you use, transparency. You know we're never going to get transparency. We're going to get some puff and fluff. We're going to get some of, some ear tickling and what they think the fans want to hear. We're never going to get transparency. Let me give you guys my take on what they're trying to do in college football. It's always going to be geared toward the big brand name, the money generators, blah, blah, blah. In one sense, you want to put the teams that you say deserve or the best. We don't know what that is because there's no transparency. Now you got the two biggest conferences that call themselves the Blue Bloods and the standards of college football. But all I hear is you want an out just in case you don't cut it on the field. Now I'm hearing they're not going to go by the model of last year, but they're going to put the teams in according to how they're ranked. So according to last year, how can – and you know I'm going to use that team off of McFarland Boulevard. If you go by last year, they would have put Bama in. And they had lost 3 games before the Iron Bowl. How can you put that team in a playoffs and then you turn around and say, well, we're going to go by what they did on the field in the regular season? You can't go by one to justify the other. Because if you're a 3-loss team and then you finish tied for 4th in your conference, how can you be one of the 4 or one of the 12 best teams in college football?
See, that I do agree. Okay, so my line of thinking is the reason why they're doing that is because of the situation that you just said. Maybe they're going to take. I'm just looking at an optimistic lens. Maybe I'm just too naive, but I think that they're going to start having those conversations where it's, hey, you know, like Ole Miss, for example, like, hey, y'all lost to Kentucky. Do we still think you're one of the 12 best teams? Maybe when we saw some of those falls in the polls, like when Miami lost to Georgia Tech, it was just so catastrophic. But then, to your point, Alabama lost to Vanderbilt as the number 1 team, and they didn't suffer that big of a drop moving forward. Then they had some other losses, to accumulate though. But I get what you're saying.
On top of the Vanderbilt, I guess they were number 3 or number 4. They went and lost 24-3 to an unranked Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think
so. I mean, it's never going to be unless this is my take. If you want transparency, and if you don't want me on here, complaining like I do, but I'm calling out what I see.
Mm-hmm.
If you want transparency, why not discuss this on TV rather than just have the commissioner come out and give some blanket statement without explanation? If you're gonna, and they say they're gonna choose the 2 top conference or however they're gonna do it, the 2 conference team that's the best teams. So what are you gonna do with Notre Dame? They're not in a conference.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna use their influence, power, and money to justify why you put them in, they're never going to be a conference champion until they're made to get in a conference. It's a whole lot of BS, but I can see through it. So don't try to trick me when I'm watching what you guys do, as in, college football gods. I see what they do. I'm watching them. So you can't pull the wool over my eyes. It's easy to see what they're doing. It's all about money, the teams that produce the most revenue, and they're going to try to get them in at every cost, no matter what they do on the field. So stop talking about what these teams do in the regular season, because it really doesn't matter when it comes down to the dollar bill, and that's what it's all about.
Hey, Bama Hater, we appreciate it, man. I mean, brings some good points. He brings some good points.
He's smart about what he does, is because wrapped around the nonsense that he brings, there's some truth in with it, and there's some logic in there, so enough to get you in the door, and then all of a sudden you unwrap. It's like, oh, it's not. It's almost like he's the verbal rendition of Spanx. Like, you think, oh, okay, you got something going on. I see what you're saying. I think, all right. And then you unwrap it and think, like, whoa, what is this? And then everything just spills out. And it's like, this is nonsense. Like, no, this is, and this time, and it's almost like he's semi-defending Alabama, because he's right in that if you're telling me it's straight seeding, if it's, whatever the best teams, but then why is your conference champions who are ranked down here, like, why are they the ones whatever getting in? And I do think he told himself a little bit, because if he's saying that if they're really all about the highest revenue generators and those teams getting in, then why didn't Alabama make it last year? If that's what they truly were all about, you're telling me that Alabama, if they're all about making money and having the most eyeballs on this, you know damn well that Alabama should have been in that and not SMU.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think SMU got a little bit of that. If they had gotten blown out by Clemson, I mean, maybe the committee was just kind of blowing smoke of like, well, no, the results of the ACC championship, no, it didn't really matter. I'm kind of with you. It's if the money makers really, really wanted to bring in some money, Alabama would have.
It reminded me a lot of 2014, where everything had to go 100% in this one way. You play poker, like there's only one thing, like one set of run out of cards for you to lose. Like this card has to be one thing and this other card has to be one thing. Every other combination, I know I'm going to win. It just can't be these two things on the turn in the river. Otherwise, I'm going to lose. And that's what happened in 2014. There was no way that Ohio State, who lost to unranked Virginia Tech and whatever at the beginning of the year, there's no way that they can do it. They've lost two quarterbacks. Oh, there's no way they can put them in. Well, they found a way. The Big 12 couldn't get out of their own way and submit your one champion. So they submitted both, and Big 12 went out, and I think it was Wisconsin they beat in the championship, and they whooped them like 56-3 or something like that. And so everything fell their way. So everything fell SMU's way to be able to jump in. Granted, I know they lost the game. If they'd have won the game, and honestly, they won the game, Alabama would have been in and wouldn't have had to worry about it. But everything went against Alabama for them not to be in. And I'm not sit here championing that Alabama should have been in. It's not me caping for Alabama. This is me caping for an 11th ranked team in a 12-team playoff. You're telling me that we're straight seeding, and then now, but the 11th ranked team is not making a 12-team playoff.
Right.
Like that's where I have the issue with.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point too, because, and I get what Bama Hater's saying. It's why y'all doing it now? It's now all of a sudden, and then of course with the Big Ten and the SEC even having furthering conversations of, well, we gonna get 4 in. I don't know what these rest of these conferences got going on, but we gonna get 4 in as automatic qualifiers, and it's okay. Well, if you're Tennessee, you kind of got you kind of got grandfathered in, because the first year you didn't have to make it to the conference championship. You still made it to the college football playoff. It's all right, cool. Like, we get to save everybody for at least one more week. So there's just so many avenues. Again, we just need some transparency. That's all we're asking for.
And I guess the reason like there wasn't transparency a year ago why they would ever change everything was because, well, they wanted more money. They can't just, it's hard to just come out and say, you know what, we want more money. Like it's something that a lot of us, maybe think about. It's just, even though we may all want it, it's tough to get the public to believe it, even though every single person would be in that situation. Like, if you want to go in and ask for a raise, like, no one's going to – each person, like, as an individual, like, oh, I was perfectly fine. Yeah, go ahead and get your money. Do everything else like that. But when someone holds out in the NFL to try to get their money, oh, you're so selfish. All of a sudden, people now don't want you to get your money. Yeah. Everyone wants that. But if you come out and say it, oh, you're greedy. Oh, how dare you? And so if they'd have come out and said, well, we're moving from 4 to 12. We want to do it now as opposed to waiting because we think we can get more money. People are like, oh, so greedy. Oh, how dare you? But it was like, well, we think it's the best course of action. But then they give us this wonky format. Oh, this is wonky. Why did you do that? If we'd have said we were doing this for more money, you wouldn't have liked it.
Yep.
But you got a 12 team, which is what you wanted. But we got what we wanted and more money. It's just we couldn't say that. So sometimes you say you want transparency, going back to something else. Okay, you say in a relationship, you want 100% the truth all the time
and then when you
until you get it.
Until you get it.
Right. Do I look fat in these jeans? Yeah, baby, absolutely. You should lose some weight.
Now you're in the doghouse.
Say that. See what happens. Right.
And you wonder why you sleep on the couch for the next 3 weeks.
You want 100% transparency? Yeah, here you go.
Hey, I'm telling you, you're going to get it. Let's continue on the phone lines. Don wants to talk about the college football playoff. What's going on, Don?
Hey, good morning, guys. How is everybody today?
Hey, can't complain about a thing, brother. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday to you, and y'all enjoy your long weekend.
Absolutely, brother.
Hey, are you going to the game tomorrow, brother?
I have plans to.
Well, good. I hope to see you out there. If you get out there early, come by me and Boomer and the Horseman's Tailgate. For everybody out there, that starts at 11 o'clock in the gravel lot. And love to have everybody come join us horsemen.
We got you, brother.
Okay, but hey, great conversation today. And got a question for you guys about not this year, but 26. I'm hearing that we might have play-in games in the SEC instead of having a championship game, maybe 2 games in one day that are considered as play-in games. What is y'all's opinion on that?
I mean, it's kind of crazy to me because I kind of go with Cole's metric of why not just call it the playoffs? Like at that point, just call it the playoffs because if there's quote unquote no guarantee that you're going to fall out, even if you lose, say that, that 4th ranked team loses to the 6th or however they're going to do it. It's, we're still going to play. We're still making it to the playoff, but we may not go, we may be the 6th seed now, then just call it a playoff game. So, but I mean, the SEC, it just means more.
Well, really
That's
more
right,
so.
Ben.
It's not really a playoff game now. It feels like it's the NBA. It's a play-in tournament.
Yeah.
You're playing in
there
for access
exactly.
to the college football playoff. So honestly, it's something McLaren had said all the time. It's not really a playoff; it's an invitational. Like since the rules aren't clear, you kind of have to be invited in. So it's the play-in invitational. Like that's in essence what this potentially could be.
Okay, well, Damian, maybe my Auburn Tigers will finish in the top 6 of the SEC when they start that and be able to do that, hopefully. But let's see, what else was there, guys? Hey, Damian, buddy, I got you a present that I haven't seen you at Social Taco on Tuesdays. But
yeah, man.
Let me know next time you're going to be there, and I'm going to bring it to you, okay?
I got you, brother. I appreciate it.
But, hey, what you need to do, my friend, with you doing your thing about picking a team, you need to announce one day soon. You need to announce your final 10 like the recruits do.
Okay, yeah, I could probably build up a graphic and get. I can find 10. I think I've narrowed it down to. I'm about 14 now. There are 2 teams I've already eliminated.
Well, Auburn's not one of those 2, are they?
No, they're still in the running. They're still. I mean, NIL pocketbook don't close. I got my NIL year round, so you can donate.
His recruitment's still open. He's still got some official visits to take. Yeah, there's still time.
There's still plenty of time.
Well, Saber already took one on an official visit last year down to Auburn.
That was last year.
Yeah, and he quickly jumped in the portal.
And that visit. Yeah. I submitted my name in the transfer portal after I saw Peyton Thorne the rest of the way.
Look what you did, Don. You drove him away.
I know. Well, guess what, Dave? We ain't got to worry about Peyton Thorne. It's Jackson Arnold's job.
The guy that got benched at Oklahoma is the savior at Auburn.
Well, you know
what? Who would
have
thought?
Well, don't get me started with you, brother. I knew you were going to say that.
Just saying. Hey, if that's the mindset, I'm I'm down with it,
More
man.
so, this is the guy you're trying to bring in.
You
Don,
clean,
not
you clean the slate.
Yeah, like this is the guy. Like the guy trying to find reasons to dump on your team.
But it
This
makes
is the
sense,
guy.
though, that they only go year to year, which is that's how my NIL is going to work. That's how exactly my NIL is going to work, year to year. It's a year-to-year basis.
Oh, I hear you. Now, Say Bear, I got a question for you before I go, and I know you guys got to go. Do you actually think he's going to stick with just one team and cheer for them the whole year, no matter how many games they lose?
Yes, he absolutely is. The thing is, he never said he wasn't going to not cheer for other teams.
No, I will give my sports analysis on other teams, but as far as fandom, it's the same way with the Titans. I'm going to be all the way in, all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even going to rock opponent shirts anymore. Like whatever team I support, I'm rocking with them the entire year.
That was going to be my next question. You can't wear nobody else's shirts next.
But I am. I will say this: Sanford still pays the bills. I will be rocking Sanford gear.
That's allowed.
But anybody else in the SEC, no more.
Thanks for that call, Don. So you're just telling me that should you choose Alabama,
I will be.
There will be no mention of hypo discipling. You just said you will not cheer.
See,
you're
this
not
is
rock.
where you separate religion.
No.
Sports. You're supposed to separate religion and sports. So, as far as spread offenses go, I will always be a hypo disciple. But the third Saturday in October, if Alabama is my choice, roll Tide.
What about Georgia though?
They're still in consideration.
Well, I understand you're wearing the shirt right now, but you can't sit here and say that I'm going to rock 100% before that team and then like aspects of the other side. That's not how it works in the South.
No, if whoever I rock with, I will be 100% obnoxious. Like I will go all in. So if I'm Vanderbilt, y'all gonna get anchored down every single day.
I understand. But at that point, and as E. Robinson will attest, it's puke tea. So that's probably the team that every single week you're going to have to dump on Tennessee. If you're going to be all in and rocking with them, you can't be a hypo disciple and chant puke tea.
Man, that means I have to take a look at opponent schedules and
correct,
things.
Right.
Oh man, I go Arkansas. I love Sam Pittman. Love Josh Heupel. I'm going to have to make a decision. Man, there's got to be some.
Maybe we do that next. Maybe we go and look at the schedule and figure out what if you're going to write. Like that's probably what we need to do because you're sitting here thinking about that. Then all of a sudden, if you're I'm pretty sure Kentucky is probably not one of them, but Kentucky is one of those teams. But we need to take a minute and reassess that.
We will. Let's do that on the other side. We will dive into my fandom, my SEC football fandom for the year. I'll announce the two teams that I have already eliminated. They didn't pony up enough money. They did not have enough support. But the rest of the 14 teams in the SEC, I could be wearing your colors here in the fall. We'll take a look at the SEC schedule here on the other side on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 9:22 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John filling in for the guys. Has got a little bit of a best of, but we were accepting phone calls, text messages, and we led down this conversation because, as everyone knows, I am in the transfer portal when it comes to SEC fandom. And I made a decision that this season, this upcoming fall, I will find one SEC team and I will root for them the entire year. I mean, full blown, just obnoxious super fan, 1,000%. Same way I am with the Tennessee Titans, because after we drafted Cam Ward, our Super Bowl odds, they went up.
You buy your jersey yet?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
He is number one.
You had already bought and currently had in possession your Will Levis one by this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is true.
Shows how much you're in, but okay.
Listen, it's early on. But in the SEC, I'm gonna find one. There's gonna be one team that I'm going to support the rest of the way, and come hell or high water, I'm going to be rocking with them.
Now, here's the interesting thing. In the last segment, Damian said that he's basically narrowed down to 14 teams. Of the 16, there are 2 that he has eliminated. But it was brought up that because he's such a hypo disciple, if he just said by his own words and admission, he's going to be all in and obnoxious, whatever about it, you then can't be cheering for another team or another side. Now, even though that most of us here in the SEC, you have most like at least one team, but you're kind of like, okay, if Vanderbilt wins, all right, that's cool. Unless it's their team, you're like, you kind of want to see them have success. Right. You want to see Sam Pittman do well. Some of you maybe want to see Florida do well if you're not a direct rival of that. You can't be doing that, though. If he just said he's going to be obnoxious about it, you can't be wanting Tennessee's offense to have success. So therefore,
that's the hard part.
Of those teams, then he probably can't be facing off against them this year. So here's Tennessee's schedule. They open up in Mercedes-Benz with Syracuse, then East Tennessee, Georgia, UAB. I assume UAB still on. You're still going to kind of rock with them, which I made that, but that's going to be kind of tough that week because they face Tennessee. Then September 27th, Tennessee's at Mississippi State, followed by Arkansas, at Alabama, at Kentucky, Oklahoma, New Mexico State, at Florida, and close out the year against Vanderbilt. So it seems to me like there are 8 teams right there that you can't really be cheering for because if you're going to be in on this, like you said you're going to, you're going to be all in on one team, even though you said you narrowed it down to 14, there are really only 8, I guess, if you choose Tennessee. But assuming you don't choose Tennessee, there are only 7 other options because you can't choose a team on Tennessee's schedule. So to me, your only options are Tennessee, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, South Carolina, Texas, and Texas A&M. I'm pretty sure that last one's probably one of them.
They were the first team. They were the first team gone.
Let's go in and eliminate that one. So now you really technically only have 7 teams that you can really rock with. Tennessee, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, South Carolina, and Texas.
Right. And all of those teams are still in consideration. The other team that has been eliminated, and I kind of, take a little bit of the projections going into the fall and where I truly think that they were going to stand. That'd be the Kentucky Wildcats. I think that it's going to be difficult to find myself finding just a win, to be honest, in the SEC. And I know it's tough, and I know they play a different style of football, and they also have Zach Calzada as their quarterback. And I saw what he did at Texas A&M. Now he went down to Incarnate Word, balled out, but I think the mountain's a little too steep of a climb for Zach Calzada and the Kentucky Wildcats. So those 2 teams have been eliminated now. The NIL budget is still open. I'm here for, fan interaction when I have, interactions with some fans during, throughout the season, throughout, social media, text line, call in. And listen, the rest of the 14 teams, they're all on equal footing at this point.
Well, they can't be. You just said you're not.
No. I can sacrifice my love for Josh Heupel's spread offense to truly look at what these teams are. I can. I can. Is it difficult? Do I have a tear in my eye? 1,000%. It hurts. But I can be reasonable because Tennessee, you look, Nico's gone. They lost a lot in the receiver room. There's a lot of unproven talent in the receiver room. Offensive line looks different. You lose James Pierce. That whole defense. I mean, it ain't no guarantee that I'm rocking with Tennessee. But everybody right now, as far as the 14, besides Kentucky and Texas A&M, they're all on equal footing.
See, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's wrong with this generation. Like you say right here, oh, I'm a hypo disciple no matter what. All right, well, pick a team and rock with them. Okay, I'll do that. Well, you can't pick one against hypo. Well,
no, I can.
I'll find a way to do that. Oh, okay,
I can.
Right.
I have the ability to.
Okay, you have the ability for when you choose Texas, that even if they face in the playoff, no matter what.
Me, Matthew McConaughey, and Matthew McLaren. If we're going to be rocking.
Okay. But if you somehow choose Alabama.
Hey, third Saturday in October?
No, not even third Saturday, because Alabama fan would not, if you're going to be an obnoxious Alabama fan, they're not going to want to have anything to do with Tennessee.
Hate Tennessee.
Correct.
Hate them.
Just remember that.
I'll have to muster it up. I got now till October 18th. So I can, if I
October. You've got until like mid-August to make that decision. It should happen before our kickoff party. That way people can see and know.
Yeah. And I will say, I mean, and I'm only doing this for football, but during this baseball season, a lot of LSU fans have been very, very welcoming. I'm like, hey, I appreciate it. They always are down for a good time. When I was in New Orleans, I ran across some frat boys from Tennessee, and they were cool. They were invited. I was like, hey man, I'm 29 years old, dog. I ain't finna hang around.
Well, yeah, but they like chugging, so yeah, that makes sense.
I was like, nah, big dog. Y'all, first off, are y'all old enough to even be in here? I know I am. I'm good. Like, I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock. Y'all out here just getting started at 9, dog. Like, just it comes with age. Florida, DJ Lagway. There's a lot of things going on in the positive direction for a lot of these teams. Mississippi State, I have a local tie there. A guy from Maplesville, Bookie Watson, one of the all-time leading tacklers there in Mississippi State history. I got a cowbell from a Mississippi State grad. And they're like, hey, man, you got to ring it when Mississippi State has success. Now, it's been a while since I've rang the cowbell because of the past couple seasons. But, again, there's a lot of things I can look towards as far as when I choose my fandom that I do lean into. A lot of it is with the interaction with the fan base as well, because I see how Georgia fans are when they were riding out Matt Murphy, a friend, a dear friend and colleague here in radio.
Oh, that is true. Yes. If you choose Georgia, you're going to have to walk all up and down these halls and barking at people like a grown ass, like a dog. And when Georgia takes on Auburn,
right,
you're going to have to go up and down these halls and barking at people every time you're out. So you're going to have to take that. If you're going to be an obnoxious fan, you're going to have to walk around. If you choose LSU, tiger bait.
Yeah.
Tiger bait. You're going to have to bathe in corn dogs somehow and walk around smelling like that. You choose Florida, you have to buy all the jean shorts from Salvation Army and start wearing those all the time. Like that. That's what you have to do now. Man. Just know this.
I know. I'm trying to think. Oh, South Carolina.
You go to Alabama. You choose Alabama. Like you have to trade in your car for a Dodge Charger.
That. If I'm Auburn, I got to walk around with toilet paper after every win.
I guess, yeah.
Or I think
maybe some purple drink. I guess.
South Carolina, I got a
rooster in your boots, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess that's what. Yeah,
Arkansas, I can be laid back because their fans are pretty. They're cool.
You got to call the hogs all the time.
Ooh, pigs, ooh, yeah.
In public, like that. That's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah. Trying to think. I mean, Ole Miss.
You probably have to break up with your girlfriend. It's Ole Miss. I mean, I don't know if they allow that. You're not a football player, so.
Oklahoma. Just yell Boomer Sooner all the time?
I guess. I don't know what's obnoxious about them.
Yeah, but and there's a loose tie still with Josh. I could still speak highly of Josh Heupel if I'm an Oklahoma fan. Because when I bring up the national title that they won.
Right, but they also play.
That too.
So, yeah.
This is a lot tougher than I thought. Drake texted in. He's a Florida fan. He says, I know you're rocking with the Gators, Damian. Hey. Tim Tebow, Chris Leak, Urban Meyer, Dan Mullen, Jim McElwain. There's a lot of things that you could.
So then you can go to a game with Florida with Pelham Gator.
Yeah, I could go to a Florida game with PG. I could rock with PG. I could. Down there in the swamp. I'll make sure it's probably like October, November when it's a little cooler outside because,
Right.
There's only
yeah,
so much Gatorade a brother can drink out there and try to survive. FJF, he texted in. He
This
said,
guy, yeah, this is the guy you want to go to a game with, like this guy right here. Okay. All right. Yeah. The ultimate Florida fan right here. This guy. Okay. All right. Sure. Yeah.
I gotta rock with him. Just FJF, he texted in and says, what teams did I eliminate? That'd be Kentucky and Texas A&M. Kentucky was a football decision. Like it was. I don't even know if I could find.
They weren't even number one.
Yeah,
they weren't the first one out. They were the second one.
They were the
out.
second one.
Didn't
out.
even give A&M a shot.
I gave him one day, and John Mack ruined it instantly.
Wow.
Instantly.
I mean, potential like a good dark horse, Marcel Reed. I mean, they've got some things going there, and and it's tough to not like them because of what Elko brings.
Exactly.
And then now that Jimbo Fisher's out, it's like, all right, you think you want to, and then you see the milkmen out there.
Whoop. Yep. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can yell at midnight. Okay. I'm in the bed at midnight, dog. I got no. Especially for the performances that they would put on. Again, you lost to a 5-7 Auburn team. I can't. And I like Mike Elko. I really do. But again, 14 teams. I will dwindle it down as we get, through the summer, and the more I kind of look at the projections and kind of just use my football brain and like, you know what? This is the team I'm rocking with. And again, the rest of the teams, y'all are on equal footing. I can be swayed either way. If you want to get my Cash App, you want to, Apple Pay, you want to give me straight cash, homie, the NIL deals will always be accepted.
Falling on my laces tweets in, as soon as UT lost their QB at Run DM6 jumps in the transfer portal. No loyalty in this game.
No, it was before. I said I was going to pick a team before Nico pulled that ruse against the University of Tennessee. No, I announced before Nico hit the transfer portal that I was in the transfer portal. I was a winter portal guy. I wasn't in the spring. I ain't go to the spring with nobody.
He quit before the bowl game. He's that kind of player. Totally different.
Yeah, I did mine in the winter. 205-834-9450. We'll get back to the best of here on the McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Keep it locked on Jocks 94.5. Welcome back into McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. There are some very strong opinions on my SEC fandom. They are.
Do we need to roll with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. We've got some reaction, 205-834-9450. Somebody texted in and says, Woo Pig. Hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
You didn't even say it back? Wow, okay.
Yeah, Woo Pig. Willis and Chelsea, he straight up says, we don't need no bandwagon jumping fans at Florida just because of DJ. You cheer for the laundry, not the guy wearing it. Go Gators. My fault. My apologies.
Yeah, this is one thing, listeners, that you got to keep in mind as those that are trying to recruit Damian. This is like recruiting a college kid now. There's no guarantee he will be here next year. He's trying to solicit NIL money and all like that. He's saying, he wants to be a Gator for life and a Ball for life and all like that. No.
This is a real world example of what these college coaches are dealing with day to day.
He is willing to cheer for your team
1,000%
for this season and this season alone.
Moving forward, we got to have a discussion at our end of the year meetings. We got to have a sit down and just like, hey, appreciate what y'all do.
Quite interesting because Mr. Hypo Disciple, he claims he's going to be able to keep it separate. But will he do that? Will Mama call at some point?
I have a do not contact list when I hit the portal again. Like, hey, don't
that's what it is.
Don't even hit me up. Don't even hit me up.
All right.
MJ, he takes his, I'd like to see you eliminate Alabama. We don't want you. Roll Tide roll. Come on now. Why y'all doing me like that?
By the way, you should see the shirt he's wearing today.
Again, I'm on my visit. I just got the gear on, posing in. Kirby hit me up a little bit earlier and was like, hey, man, we'll throw you a little something. Just wear a Georgia Bulldog shirt. Ben texting and says, Damian, nobody wants a Vol cast off. You're stuck with them. All right. Hey, like I said, man, don't push me away. Don't force me. Like, I know y'all, I'm the hottest thing in the transfer portal right now. I'm a 5-star athlete. I'm 6'2", 210. I am the best thing that you got in the transfer portal. And I got all these ACC schools hitting me up. I'm like, nah, I don't even want to fool with you. Got the Big 12 hitting me up. Colorado Prime texted me a couple days ago, was like, hey, Shador gone, Shiloh gone, Travis Hunter gone. We got plenty of NIL money. I was like, I'm not in it for all the money, man. I still want to have some success.
Oh, okay, right.
Still want to have some success.
And with that, he's only eliminated Texas A&M and Kentucky. Arkansas is still on the table.
They are.
Sorry, but Vanderbilt's still on the table.
Sure enough.
Mississippi State's still on the table. Okay,
Hell State, baby.
I want success.
Hey, listen, they all, every visit I've gone on besides Texas A&M and Kentucky have been wonderful. Have been absolutely wonderful. So, when National Signing Day rolls around, when I sign on that dotted line for that year, we gonna be good. We gonna be good. Thomas texts in. He says, come on, Damian, stay the course with Big Orange. You already have the gear. All orange, everything. I'm not.
Stay the course, and he's still rocking a Georgia shirt today. Okay, all right. This is your man. This is the guy you're trying to get.
Somebody in Tennessee is upset. They're like, Damian, you're breaking my heart this morning. Your blood runs with Big Orange. Keep it 100. Go Big Orange, Ball for life.
His blood never ran orange. It only runs half the time in orange, maybe through the left ventricle in aorta, because he's only offense.
Hey.
And he's even willing to cast them aside this year to be for Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi State, all these other teams that face Tennessee. He's willing to be all in. So just be warned.
Jerry Barnett from Hayden, he texted in. This is why I like loyalty. He says, if you choose the Crimson Tide, it's roll Tide roll for life. So I'm making a lifelong decision.
Correct.
To rock with Alabama.
Right.
I love it.
Which we know you're not.
Hey, listen, I could say that, hey, I was brought in the Nick Saban era. I wanted to be part of the Nick Saban ties to Alabama. And I'm like, Jalen DeBoer just ain't right. I ain't rocking with him. Caden Proctor left and came back. How come I can't? I can't.
Because he proved it on the field, and you're out here soliciting NIL money?
Oh, man. Hey, our buddy Don, he takes it. He says, CD, Bama fans ain't treating you right. Us Auburn people will take care of you. But also, if I'm going to cheer for Auburn, I want y'all to beat Alabama, too. So
yeah, that's an interesting choice of words from Don. Take care of you, seeing as how that's how he became an Auburn fan. So, yeah. All right. Maybe was that what you're saying? You need to become an Auburn fan? need to be swayed like he was?
All I'm saying is I've seen the money that y'all got Jackson Arnold. And he was a head case as a quarterback.
Okay.
I'm at least, I'm a little bit older. It happens. I might not have the stature, but hey, I can at least get 10% of that, please. Just throwing it out there. James texts in. He says, if he wants to follow the money, SMU is out there. Why haven't they contacted you?
That's a good point.
I don't know, man. Hey, Rhett Lashley, it's still out there. Whoa. Oh, the person that texted in about being a Tennessee fan, she says she's a Vol gal living in Tuscaloosa. I need you. My heart is there for you, dog. My heart is there for you. Again, I got a long time. Jason texts in. He says, Little D sounded like one of them flip-flop fans who's winning. I'm in. He throws up on Tennessee. Cut it out.
Oh, you may be doing that this year.
Okay.
You may have to, maybe not throw up on Tennessee, but you may have to be against them.
I know. Again, I can separate it.
Okay.
I can separate. I will. So if Tennessee beats the team that I'm cheering for, I will break the game down like it was in black and white.
No. It's not breaking the game down. You said you would be an obnoxious fan.
Like, oh, they cheating. The refs.
Correct.
The
right.
refs just
You're gonna have to throw
them.
mustard at at yourself, basically. When you get home, you have to be like baby powder, throw it on, and slap your own damn self.
Like, how we lose to Tennessee, man? They ain't got nobody. Then I'm gonna look at the Tennessee offensive stats, like, oh man, Joey Aguilar did throw 400. Like, must be the system. Nope, can't do it.
Nope.
Man, somebody just sent in a picture of an Arkansas jumper.
Well, like someone leaping?
No, like the suit, like the jumpsuit.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I can't wear that.
Are you about to eliminate Arkansas?
No, I'm not gonna be able to rock that, but I respect it.
That's your fan base. Why can you not wear it? What's wrong?
Not today. Not today. I'm a Georgia Bulldog today. Somebody texts in and says you are locked out of cheering for Tennessee or the Cal College if you're a Bama fan. This is why I love it though. Like the hate is real. Like
right.
the hate is real.
You have to.
But
have to go in with it.
But one thing is, like, if once I rock with your team, at least that year, when it comes to hating, I'm a pro at that. I am an absolute pro. So if Texas A&M is on the schedule for any of the team I celebrate, you can by far that entire week I'm gonna be emptying the clip, absolutely emptying it. But I do like this is fun. It's absolutely fun. But also, like, how about the people that want to sway me to your fan base? Like, listen, it's not all about the money. It's a good bit of the conversation. But listen, everybody's dealing with inflation. Everybody's pocketbook's a little bit tighter than it used to be. I ain't asking for a lot. That's for a little bit. Or you just tell me how much you love your team, and that's why I should rock with them. I'm all about the passion. I'm all about it, the history. I'm here for it. Like, listen, if I'm an Ole Miss fan, I'm not going to necessarily take back everything I said about Eli Manning, but the respect level will be at the utmost highest because he's one of, if not the best, he's probably the best quarterback to ever breathe at Ole Miss. Now, Jackson Dart has a conversation, but when it comes down to being the number 1 overall pick as opposed to, 25th, but they go to the same franchise, and the last time I saw an Ole Miss quarterback in New York, he did end up beating the greatest quarterback of all time. So I will leave it at that. Hey, we can continue with the conversation on the other side. We see a lot of y'all continue to chime in on who I should be rooting for. And I would say a lot of teams and a lot of fan bases are pushing me away, but other ones are accepting me with open arms. We'll continue the conversation. 205-834-9450. Keep it locked right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. 9:50 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian Mitchell, John Saybear here with you for a few more moments as you get you set for three-man front. Coming up at the top of the hour from 10 to 2. And they'll get you set for Paul Feinbaum, the Paul Feinbaum Show from 2 to 6. So you can keep it locked here on Jocks 94.5. My fandom is, I might even have to narrow it down after this weekend. After today, I might have to narrow it down because there are some fan bases that are just like, nah, big dog, we're cool. But it's very receptive for the ones that are locked in. Like Jerry, he takes in again. He brings up a great point. He says, according to Diego Pavia, you still have eligibility, so I could play opposite of Ryan Williams and get some NIL dollars. RTR for life. I'm going to go ahead and let you know. At 29 years of age, I don't know if y'all got a chance to hear me a couple weeks ago when I talked about playing in a charity softball tournament. I'm going to go ahead and let you know. At 5'7", 175 pounds on a good day, I got about 2 good routes left in me before I am full clipboard warrior. Like, I am on the sidelines. I'm probably still going to need some oxygen after running those 2 routes. My presence off the field is a lot better than it would be on the field now. My playing days, my best days are well behind me. Learned that the hard way.
Are you telling me you're a leader of men?
Listen.
Are you trying to be a coach on the field? Is that what you're doing?
They would call me Damian McConkey.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Damian Pearsall.
2 good routes. Okay. So this is what
2 good ones.
This is what listeners you're trying to get your NIL to come in. Someone that can run just 2 routes. This is the guy.
That's all I got in me. That's all I got in me now. That's all I got. Now, you give me about 6 to 8 to 9 to a year to train. I could probably get back into it.
You've had an off season.
Yeah.
Apparently you've lucid it because you hadn't really done anything. You could be hitting the gym now, ready to go. Fall camp
I hit the
starts not too
gym,
long.
but it's those target muscles. It's okay. Does my V-neck still look like it still looks swole? Oh, we good to go. We'll say this, Alabama fans. My girlfriend, she is an Alabama fan, so you can't sway me with all these little pretty little sorority girls.
Auburn. He's not picking LSU. He's not because you can't do this at home.
Yeah. Oh, she is. She's about like some of these other fans. Like she's like, could you just pick one? I'm like, well, I'm trying. I'm trying.
Okay.
Like, okay, fine. But she is an Alabama fan. I will say that. So, out of all the smart decisions she made, then there's me. It's like, I can't pick one. No. She is an Alabama fan, so that does give them a little bit of an edge when it comes down to having discussions. Somebody else texted in, says, come to the Tide and be worldwide. Once you feel the love of the Tide fans, you'll be a fan for life. Roll Tide. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. And then what Greg says, when you make a college decision, you're not making just that year. You're not making a 4-year decision. You're making a 40-year decision. Same with Alabama. That's why he chose Alabama. He's like, hey, I love Mike Leach. I love what you're doing at Texas Tech, but I got to get up there at Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
That's why Caleb Downs chose Alabama and then left. Okay. But Julian Sayin chose Alabama and left. Both of them have rings now, but okay. All right. 40-year decision.
We don't speak about those guys.
Oh,
I mean, they don't speak about those guys.
Okay. All right.
I can't say we.
All right. Isaiah Bond chose Alabama.
Oh.
One of the most memorable plays in their history.
They don't even talk about they just say Gravedigger, and they're like, yeah, somebody caught the pass on the other side. They talk about the Jalen Milroe throw. That's all they describe. They're like, yeah, man, he's standing in there. He's got all day. And I'm like, so who caught the pass? I'm like,
James B. Don't even watch Skyfall or Casino Royale because anyone want to say Bond.
Oh, man. Somebody texts in and says, you would love to go to a Florida game with Pelham Gator. I think I would, too. I think it would be a great time.
Okay.
As long as they ain't playing Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
At least as long as they
No, you see, you can't have that mindset in a couple. You don't matter.
It's true. It's hard, man. It's difficult. But there are.
Just pick Tennessee and be over with. That way you don't have to worry about it.
I can't do it.
What do you mean you can't?
I can't. I have to have logical reasons on why I would still choose Tennessee. Because I love Josh Heupel. Love his offense. But then when I look at the players across the board, it's Tennessee doesn't necessarily have an advantage in a lot of these places.
You're telling me that you are trying to assign your fandom based on logic and reason in something that is illogical and full of passion. Most people don't choose whom they cheer for out of logic and reason.
Yeah.
So you're the one.
I'm trying to be as I'm like the college football playoff committee. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible.
While also soliciting NIL too. Okay. Oh, you're right. You are the college football committee. You're asking for more money. Yeah.
Somebody takes in, hold up, D has a girlfriend. Where's the late breaking news sounder? I thought everybody kind of knew that.
Well, you just don't talk about it on air.
Right. Yeah.
I ain't going to be the one to spread your business or nothing.
Oh,
but
man.
right. Yeah.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah. I am in a committed relationship, man. It's just.
And she knows it too. It's not like it's not one side. It's not like him and Diana. No. It's true. It's real.
I ain't fumbled this bag, y'all. Ain't no way, man. Y'all have a safe and enjoyable weekend. 3-Man Front is next.